everybody, and welcome to RacerTV.com. We're here at Steele Creek for GNCC Racing. Looking for an exciting and unpredictable day as usual here in North Carolina. Josh Strang looking to add another win to the list. Our defending champion Caleb Russell still winless and looking to change that today. Former champion Charlie Mullins making his way back into the series, and local boy Trevor Bollinger looking to go 3 in a row. So exciting day of racing planned here today at Steele Creek.
Thank you very much, Megawatt, as we are now down here on the starting line. A beautiful sunshiny day raining down on us here in the foothills of North Carolina's Blue Ridge Mountains, and nearly 300 riders are stacked on this starting line in this little cozy cove here at Steele Creek. As we get set to roll into today's third round of racing, let's introduce to you today's starting lineup. Rolling to the line first, he rides aboard the number 114, a former GNCC champion. He hails from Australia, fresh off 2 consecutive wins in the season opening rounds. He rides for the folks at Rockstar Husqvarna. Put your hands together and welcome North Carolina's own, the freight train, Josh Strang. Rolling to the line today, second in points, a 3-time GNCC champion as well as your defending National Enduro champion from Boonville, North Carolina, on an FMF KTM racing machine, Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line today, third in points. Aboard the number 31, he hails from Australia as well, now calling North Carolina home on an Infab and Pro Yamaha, Daniel Milner. Rolling to the line today, fourth, he is last year's ISDE overall winner and the only American so far to ever pull off that particular feat. He hails from Ekron, Kentucky, on a coastal racing Rockstar Husqvarna, Ryan Seitz. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 514, hailing from Belton, South Carolina, former XC2 Pro Lights champion, on a Ampro backed Yamaha, once again, Grant Baylor. Actually, that's Stu Baylor. Sorry about that, folks. And he's on a KTM-backed SRT Kenda Tires back machine. As we move to our next rider, aboard the number 4 machine, he's ranked 6th out of Crown Point, Indiana, on a JCR Lucas Oil Maxxis Fly Racing Honda, Chris Bach. And now the 314, hailing from Belton, South Carolina, on an Infab and Pro Yamaha, Grant Baylor. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 212 from Duval, Washington, on an Obermeyer MCS Racing Suzuki, backed by Kenda Fly Racing. On board that Suzuki, rough and rowdy Ricky Russell. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 8, a 2-time XC2 Pro Lights class champion from England, on a low Jack Cycles JTR off-road Yamaha, UKJT, Jason Thomas. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 22. He hails from Cincinnati, Ohio, on an Obermeyer Racing Suzuki, backed by Kenda Fly. It is Chris Douglas. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 112. Hailing from Hickory, North Carolina, after a 2-year absence from the GNCC trails, welcome back a former 2-time GNCC champion on an FMF KTM Hot Rod, Charlie Mullins. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 194, from Hamil, Minnesota, on a Bonsai Engines 100% 6D Racing Yamaha. Welcome to the off-road racing world, Jerry Robin. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 7, hailing from Tennessee, on a Westfield Power Sports KTM, presented by Moose Racing, Jordan Ashburn. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 121, from Logan, Ohio, on a KTM back, KTM by SRT, Corey Buttrick. Rolling next, aboard the number 25, from Canada, on a KTM Canada Recluse Canada FMF back machine, Philip Cheney. Next, aboard the number 55, from Wellington, Ohio, on an MCS Racing Kawasaki, Scott Grills. And last, and certainly not least, riding aboard the number 5, from Williamstown, West Virginia, on a Rocky Mountain ATV MC KR4 Bar Racing Husqvarna, Thad Duval. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this, the FMF Steele Creek GNCC. As our riders make their way onto the starting line, one final moment for them to rev them up and warm them up as they get set for 3 hours of some of the most intense off-road racing known to mankind. It's America's toughest sport. It is the Grand National Cross Country Championship, and we welcome you here to North Carolina Steele Creek Campground for a continuing tradition of one of the most storied championship rounds of racing. Last night, we were faced, well, here's the story coming into this weekend. We were faced with rain showers, a muddy mess in pits. We had to drag a lot of people into these pits on Friday just to be ready to race on Saturday. They all made their way out last night. The motorcycles made their way in. But in the meantime, 70-mile-an-hour wind swept through the area last night, blowing down trees, blowing over canopies, and destroying a lot of the makeup of the beauty of the track. The track crew got up bright and early this morning. They went to work. The GNCC Racing Nation went to work cleaning up their pits and getting everything back in order. And we all made it down here for the 8 o'clock start this morning for our Youth Motorcycle Challenge. Then at 10 o'clock, as we had well over 300 riders participating there this morning, and now 300 riders participating here this afternoon, as we are about to embark upon another page of history and another chapter in the GNCC logs here at Steele Creek. And with that being said, now is the time that folks are beginning to feel the pressure, as we are now about 1 minute away from going GNCC racing. The starting sequence has basically started now that Ricky Towery has informed these riders where we are here in the starting procedures. Ricky readies himself. He makes the last final checks, checking with scoring, checking with track crew to make sure that all systems are go. All systems are go, and we shut them down, guys. We are less than 30 seconds away from going racing here at Steele Creek. And I got to ask you, Steele Creek fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Yeah, wow, what a crowd here in Steele Creek today. But I got to tell you, it's a big crowd, a loud crowd. And I think you could do a little bit better than that. So come on and join me. Are you ready to go? FMF Steele Creek GNCC Racing! 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at our FMF Steele Creek GNCC. The 314 of young Grant Baylor making his way around, but it's Hot Rod Charlie Mullen still in the $250 whole shot award here today. And Hot Rod picks up where he left off when he was injured some 3 years ago. Can he keep it going for 3 hours? We'll know more coming up here in just a little bit. Right now, it's XC2 Pro Lights Bike Racing. Trevor Butcher, Morgantown, North Carolina, right there with us, along with Craig DeLong, Keegan Temple, Jesse Grum, Sam Evans, Zach Hayes, Nathan Thornhill, Joshua Lee, Austin Lillard, Joshua Toth, Brendan Riordan, Michael Wickey, Ryan Jack, Nicholas Marty, Mark Koreski, Neworth, Lane Michael, Nick Davis, along with Michael McGinnis, Benjamin Kelly, Kyle McDonald, Mason Atherton, Ryan Francis, and Trevor Barrett in 10 seconds. And the XC2 Pro Whites are off and rolling, a $100 whole shot award up for grabs, and right now it's the number 11 of Craig DeLong. DeLong taking that Coastal Husqvarna right to the front of the pack, right from the get-go. Coming up next, Force A Light bike. This is the class that we were first introduced to Polo in only 3 years ago. Braxton McGee, Hunter Shelton, Drew Bolton, Brandon, Colin Keegan, Hunter Keegan, Chris Manis, Jaden Waldron, Dwayne Connor, Dawson Dunnick, Russell Smith, Hunter Knobs, also Spencer Burke. We got Trey Jefferson, Garrett Duncan, Tyler Fubio, Dodlin Jeremy, Will McNair, Alex Meloche, also Lazenby, Dustin Simpson, Lorenzo Sylvia. 10 seconds. Cope Back, Caleb Williams, Eric Souders, Tristan Landerman, and Drew France. Green flag waves, and they're off. A lot of position jockeying going on, but it's a 7:04. Tristan Landrum out of Nelsonville, Ohio, on the Mountain Power Sports as Sports Cycles Racing, also Fly Racing, Bonsai Engines, back Yamaha. Open A bike coming up next. Dylan Rash, Vincent Smith, Brady Myers, Dual Murphy, Spencer Hoyt, Dustin Stanley, Roman Phipps, Kyle Plummer, Zach Tussle, Sam Forrester, Michael Pillar, Tyler Soriano, Zeb Gronett, also Zachary Loophole, Zach Dodson, Dustin Ulrich, Zach Clampeth, Cody Jeffers, along with Paul Petrin, Connor Smith, and Cordis Brooks. 10 seconds. And they're off. The green flag waves for these Open A riders now. The number 49, Joel Murphy out of Huntington, Indiana, getting to the inside. Look at that. He's going to take it to the turn 2 now, as he'll snag the early lead in the Open A bike class. Boy, he's got lots of company coming as we check now with the 200A bike class. 6 riders in this, but a very highly competitive battle we are about to witness here with the likes of Jay Snopp, Jesse Ansley, Dakota Sims, Zachary Hugel, Chase Hayes, and Braden Moore, all ready to roll next in this 200A class in 10 seconds. And they're off. That's that green flag waves now, and it's 5-2-0. Not sure if that's Sims or not. Let's check a little closer here. No. Yes, 5-2-2 actually on his helmet there. So looks like Dakota Sims out of Parkersburg, West Virginia, grabbing the early lead. And our 250As coming up next: Chris Vendetti, Eric Douglas, Andrew Bogg, Sean Barhart, also Brewer Cawley, Evan Earl, Cameron Sis, Brandon Kenyon, Zachary Toth, Ryan Slopko, R.J. Cook. We got Alex Teagarden, Owen Geese, Malcolm Hill. 10 seconds. Dustin Trey, Cole Harbstreet. We got Jeremy Wallstrom, Anthony Federico, Jordan Arbitani. We got Matthew Kiefer along with Jamie Wilson, Dominic Anello, JoJo Bowden, Justin Lafferty, Coleman Brinson, Josh Farrell, Zach Nolan, Jared Stock, Charles Morrison, Brandon Gearing, and Zachary Florence. 7:21. Zach Nolan out of Masontown, West Virginia, grabbing the early lead in that one as we go to the Senior A 40-plus class with old shotgun Sean Remington out there. Scott Campbell, Brett Torchilla, Frank Tussle, Marcelo Correa, Francis Corsol, William Wilson, Patrick Tobin, Billy Schlag, Mark Connor, John Chambers, Derek Pacheco, David James, and Bob Bergman. All ready to roll next in the Senior A 40-plus class as Ricky Towery readies these riders and lets them know. 10 seconds. And they're off. And the number 60, shotgun Sean Remington into that first turn first, and He's going to take the early lead here into turn 2 now and head into that wood section. Remington out of New Salem, Pennsylvania, as we roll to the Vet A 30-plus class. Joe Morris, Jesse Arsenal, Fabian Barada, Big Jim Steiner, Eddie Lojek, a.k.a. ELO, Chris Levin, Craig Volkemer, Jesse Robinson, Ryan Inman, Brian Duvall, Matt Jen, Albert DeMott, Ronald Moore, Buddy Barnes, Joe Dean, Nick Capasso, and Brad Hamrick. 10 seconds. Eddie Lojak Jr. out there, the son of 9-time GNCC champion, of course, Big Eddie Lojak Sr. I think that might have been Jesse Robinson right there. Jesse Robinson right here from Morganton, North Carolina, grabbing that early lead. Junior AB 25-plus class, Bill Zavendi, Ian Smith, Mason Stevens, Josh Blackburn, Wes Keller, Kevin Simmons, Lane Hosler, Brandon Peterson, Rob Brown, Teddy Roney, Lucas Towery, Aaron Studer, Eric Breitmeyer, Nicholas Kroom, Jeremy Dexter, and Robbie Towery. Ricky says, all right, here we go. 10 seconds. And they're off now, as the 111, I believe, is what it says on his receipt. We'll get his riding number, see if we can snag that for you. Might have been Ian Smith, the 261 out of Medina, Ohio there. Open B Bike, Devin Newkirk, Cody Sims, Grant Lehman, Jeremy Lanthier, Dominic Jarvis, Matt Bruffy, John Demento, along with Jonathan Harker, Craig Oberholzer, Ryan McManus, Joseph McGurr. We got Michael Hall, Brian Shell, Craig Daft, Zach Perry, Jared Shiley, and Eric Metzger. 10 seconds. Open B Bike off and rolling now. 8:07, Craig Daft, Elkins, West Virginia's own. Put down the hammer and into the first turn first and into the woods first. He's going to hang on to it. Craig Daft, Senior B 40-plus class. Devin Ferguson, Leon Whittiver, Mike Kotzman, got Richard Schaefer, Jeffrey Flynn, Joshua Yeatman, Doug Johnson, J.J. Brock, Christian Broombaugh, Brett Kovac, Darren Lingofelt, also Ronald Awald, Donald Miller, Michael Owensby, Shannon Hatfield, Will Gribben, William Lackey, Sam Young, Darren Darmos, and David Galliano. 10 seconds. Green flag waving, kick starts down, riders rolling toward that first turn. See if we can sort this out. 7:59. That is William Lackey out of Hickory, North Carolina. 4-stroke B lights class coming up next. Colton Cup, Justin Murphy, Daniel Spurgeon, Blake Gibbs, Sean Cochran, Hunter Williams, Will Busick, Bolton B. Robb, Troy Lieberman, Brendan Poling, Britton Laird. Also, we got Alan Nolting, Patrick Jones, Mac Faint, Forrest Busby, Tyler Bosley, Talon Bennett. 10 seconds. Colton Brown, Ryan Lindsay, Jason Lipscomb, Austin Evans, Carter Johnson, Colton Hale. Off and rolling is the green flag waves on that one. And it's 229, had a good jump on that one. Hunter Williams out of Sophia, North Carolina. Oh, and he still got it. He hangs on to it after being pressured. Williams brought to you by Rocky Mountain ATV MC KR4 and 250 B class. James Harsberger, Bailey Barnes, Edward White, Lou Bianconi, Timothy Steiner, also Kirk Schultes, Matthew Davis, Dylan Bumgardner, Adam Phillips, Matt Koretzko. We got Sean Shalaby, Austin Lackey. 10 seconds. TJ Weber, Michael Adam, Matthew Federico, Spencer Marzello, Billy Seglia, along with Bailey Parker, Devin Watson, Noah Stevens, Thad Workman, Jacob Gibbons, Gabriel Potvin, Dominic Wright, and Nick O'Brien. 8:09, grabbing the early lead is Gabe Potvin out of Ontario, Canada. 18-year-old rider on that KTM making his way down. Up next, 200B, we got Jordan Overfield, Zeb Duval, Garrett Freer, Teague Securo, Johnny Manera, Denver Martin, Mike DeLise, or DeLisle, I guess that would be, Randy Smith, Garrett Robinson, Andrew Kent, Cash Jacobs, Connor Campbell, Nathan Davis. 10 seconds. Chase Colville, Trenton Steele, Nick Connor. And they're off, 200B class. 442, Connor Campbell out of West Jefferson, North Carolina, Dunlop and Sherby's back drive, but it's going to be the 263 into the second turn. It might have been, I'm not sure, it might have been Nathan Davis, but regardless, Vet B class comes up next, and this is 30-plus class riders. Clay Hopper, Scott Dallin, Sean Morris, Andrew McQuaid, Sean Royal, Stephen Young, Robert Woodford, Jared Hoffman, David Chen, Mike Barber, Mark Koch, Matthew Yukovich, H.G. Sheldon, Cassidy McMahon, Gary Wyant, Nathan Wallace, Clinton Fryer, Zachary Ruffing, Greg Stone, and Chris Engel. 10 seconds. That B 30-plus class off and rolling now. Looks like Sean Morris out of Waynesburg, PA early on, but now it's the 203. And not real sure who that one was going to be. Different riding number, I guess, on his pipe than his riding number, but regardless, Vet B class off and rolling, and we got a clear start, folks. We got a great race going, 300-plus riders out on the race trail here this afternoon. GNCC Live continues with all the action right after this.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection. Maxxis Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash.
And we're back with GNCC Live on RacerTV, and as we can see on the screen here, Charlie Mullins taking our XC1 Pro hole shot, and he's turned it into a lead here early, Megawatt. He's got a pretty big lead on these guys, and then it looks like it's quite a feverish battle behind him. We see Josh Strang, we see Chris Bach, we see Caleb Russell, so that looks like the second, third, and fourth place positions. There we see Ryan Sipes, Grant Baylor, Stu Baylor, Thad Duvall, Jordan Ashburn, Ricky Russell, don't know. It looks like it was Milner. So all these other guys nose to tail. Now here comes our XC2 class, and that appears to be Lane Michael leading early. He was off to about a 4th place start, and it looks like he's worked his way right to the front, and he's mixed in with quite a few of the XC1 riders already. So Charlie Mullins, the number 112 hot rod, megawatt. How about that? Makes his return to racing, and look what he is doing. He is absolutely putting it to these guys early.
Johnny, I got to tell you, when he came around the first turn, he was neck and neck. When he accelerated out of the first turn to get that whole shot award, he never looked back. He had 4 bike lengths by the top of that first hill, Johnny. Amazing. And to look at this right now, a couple years off after injury, the guy looks like he hasn't got off a bike.
Yeah, you know, and Charlie Mullins was one that changed the game a few years ago with his sprint speed early. He used to get out to an early lead and try and pull away. And, you know, Caleb Russell and a few of those guys finally, after a few years of him winning races, figured out, hey, we can't let him get away. Well, let me tell you something, Megawatt. It looks like in his 24 months absence, they might have forgot that Charlie Mullins has world-class sprint speed, and he's showing it right now.
You know, no question about that. We said we had 6-mile marker when they came by just a second ago. Johnny, the other riders weren't even in sight, and easily 100 yards back through that section to the next corner. So Charlie Mullins, like we said, using that strategy, trying to get out, trying to get away, trying to hide from the other riders. And let me tell you something, that guy's been doing some training, no question about it.
Absolutely. You know, I actually spent some time with Charlie down in Florida. He did some cycling with us and even went riding with us a couple times. So I know he's got the speed. I know he struggled after, you know, getting back healthy. He actually broke his hand, his foot. Right before the National Enduro Opener, which allowed him or it afforded him an unfortunate set of circumstances where he chose to sit out the first 2 GNCCs with that injury. And now coming back here at round 3, boy, he's showing right away that he is not playing around. And Megawatt, I got to tell you, you know, Charlie Mullins is no fluke, obviously being a former champion. But the amazing thing to me is the rider in 2nd place, Josh Strang, the number 114, he has won our first 2 GNCCs, and he's just outright getting pulled by Charlie Mullins right now. So that's a big statement for Mullins. Whether or not he can continue to pull away or even hold that speed to the end remains to be seen. But regardless, in lap 1 of racing here, Charlie Mullins has made a huge statement with his speed.
I like the term you use, flat getting pulled. And that's what's happening right now. Charlie's putting every bit of that power to the ground. The bike's accelerating out of every corner and making distance and making time every section of the course he hits. And to see what's happening right now, that is typical Charlie Mullins style.
Yeah, and Charlie has a great flow. You know, he's a multi-time national enduro champion, obviously GNCC champion as well. He's won countless races in both GNCC, national enduros, and all disciplines. But, you know, Charlie Mullins has a great style and a great flow, and it would work incredibly well on a track like this. A track like this isn't just going out and going fast. You have to go fast within yourself, and you have to be able to hold a solid pace without making mistakes to keep that speed going. And we know Charlie Mullins is capable of that. So it'll be really interesting to see how things pan out here. And, you know, we got Lane Michael leading the XC2 class, so that's a rider we did see on the podium at the last race, and he's backing that up early here with, you know, with a great ride early. And, you know, as we talk about Charlie Mullins, Megawatt, we've got, you know, him returning from over 2 months or 2 years off from GNCC racing with a multitude of injuries and all kinds of setbacks that have kept him from being out there doing what he loves to do. And before the race today, we got a chance to check in with Charlie on all things GNCC and how he was prepared for this race.
Yeah, it's definitely a new riding style that I've had to adapt to. You know, my wrists, they don't, as far as flexion and extension, they don't go back as far as they used to, and my side-to-side movement, I have zero. So it's definitely been, you know, I wouldn't say a struggle, but it's definitely been definitely a lot of work trying to learn a new riding technique and style for what, you know, what I do. It takes a lot of, you know, I guess my wrists take a lot of beating. I guess you don't realize how, until you have bad wrists, how, you know, how good you got it before they get hurt. I've done a 2-hour race, you know, preparing, but my fitness is good. That's I think the 3-hour race is going to be a building step. You know, my plan tomorrow is just to go out and, you know, hopefully get a good start and see how far or how long I can run up front and, you know, take it from there and, you know, just keep building race by race at this point. 2 years has been a long time, so it just, you know, I'm just really blessed and thankful to, you know, have the opportunity to go race again and line up on the front row. So everything is shaping up to be pretty good.
Okay, so at the 10-mile marker, as we come back from that interview with Charlie, we've got 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th working their way through the shot. We did miss Charlie Mullins. He did come through still with a big lead on everybody else. So, you know, as we check in, Megawatt, he talks about having to adapt his riding style. And, you know, that was one thing he kept saying when we were in Florida and I got to spend some time with him, was he doesn't have that full flexion, extension, range of motion in his wrist because they actually had to fuse bones together to make his wrist strong enough to be able to hold on. And what that actually causes is him to have to change the way that he throttles and uses his clutch. And here we have Charlie Mullins as he's now working his way across the land bridge. And this is the replay, actually, from when he came through earlier here at the 10-mile marker. And you can see he just looks so smooth, Megawatt.
Yeah, he looks like he's out for a cruise. No question. He's out doing a Sunday ride. Now, you talk about that wrist. Go ahead.
And there's Lane Michael, the leader of our XC2 class. You know, Lane looks really good right now. And not only is Charlie Mullins putting the wood to these guys and pulling away, that's Lane Michael doing the same, and we'll have to see. So there is Craig DeLong, 2nd place in XC2. And, uh-oh, there comes the man himself, Trevor Bollinger. He was about 15th off the start, and he is now already up into 3rd and charging hard. So Lane Michael better get to work if he's going to get away from that guy.
The stage is set in XC2, no question about it. You know how hungry Lane is. You know how bad he wants to win. You know TB wants to make it 3 in a row, no doubt about that. And a bunch of guys just want to get up there and make their presence known. And I tell you, it's not going to be easy today in XC2 by any means. Lane's going to have his work cut out for him to stay up there, keep that pace going, because he's got a whole slew of guys that want to get up there and take that spot from him.
Yeah, absolutely, Megawatt. You know, there's so many good young riders coming up like that. We just saw Zach Nash actually go by. Or I'm sorry, that was last year's Open A winner, Zach. We'll have to look
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I apologize. But he, you know, we got riders moving up from the A class. We got riders that have been in that XC2 class. You know, we've got veterans and we've got young riders mixed together. But one thing that is common between all of them is they are hungry, they push hard, and, you know, they really do push the pace there in that XC2 class. We see a bunch more of our XC2 riders and some of the riders a little bit further back in that XC1 class now checking their way through. Zach Hayes is the rider we were trying to think of there, Megawatt, so my apologies. And there we see Zach Nash now checking through. There we see the 301 machine of Eddie Lojak Jr., I believe that, Eddie Lojak Jr., and now we've got some more XC2 guys checking through. But you were making a comment about Charlie Mullins and his wrist there when we kind of interrupted with the XC2.
Yeah, you mentioned changing his style and that kind of thing. That navicular injury has taken more off-road guys out of the game than even knees, hips, that kind of thing. It is so important on how you grip the bike and how you're able to accelerate and use that throttle, especially if it's your right wrist. I remember back in the mid-'80s, the same injury took Rick Johnson out of the game about 1990. They tried everything, even putting a throttle on the left side of the bike to get him to be more effective, even try to thumb throttle. And, you know, Charlie really overcome a lot here with that type of injury. Not only that, he added injury on top of injury while he was trying to recover.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so tough, you know,
right.
when you hurt yourself trying to come back from injury. And here we see Caleb Russell working his way through the finish line chicanes. The number 112 Hot Rod Charlie Mullins has already checked in, so it looks like he's got to refresh our screen here. It looks like Mullins has about a 17-second lead over Caleb Russell in the 2nd place position. And Caleb Russell looks like he's closed the gap from the last time we saw him on screen there. So the top 5 as they run right now, it's Charlie Mullins, Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, Chris Bach, and Ryan Sipes. Thad Duvall there now checking in the 6th place spot. So we've got our top 6 in XC1 checked in. And if we refresh our screen, we should be able to see it. Looks like we've probably got about 10 checked in. There we go. 7th place, Grant Baylor. 8th place, Stu Baylor Jr. 9th place, Jordy Aspirin. And 10th place, Daniel Milner. Looks like, Jason Thomas is now checked in. So he's one of our XC1 riders that has moved up from XC2. So any moment here we should be seeing, and there we see Stu Baylor, or no, I'm sorry, that's Corey Buttrick. Those two look a lot alike on that SRT KTM team. So
I'm telling
it's hard
you.
to tell them apart at times. And there's our XC2 leader, Lane Michael, the number 523. And boy, this is a strong ride early for Lane here.
You know, we've watched Lane ride since he was on mini bikes, both of us. And let me tell you this much. That guy looks comfortable today, and he looks like he's just out there enjoying the ride. And that's bad news when Lane can go that fast looking that smooth.
Yeah, let me tell you something that's bad news for Lane Michael. Trevor Bollinger into the 2nd place position and on the charge. And those guys now have worked their way in. Lane Michael, 3rd overall. What an impressive first lap for Lane Michael. 3rd overall on corrected time. with Trevor Bollinger 8th overall in corrected time. So Lane Michael with only 12 seconds over Trevor Bollinger, but it's enough to put him up into an overall podium position on the first lap.
Absolutely incredible. Absolutely pumped up seeing that right now. Let me tell you, Lane's one of those guys that never had problems as a mini bike rider, as a youth rider, and that type of thing. And over the last couple seasons, encountered some odd injuries and situations that really slowed Lane up. Something he's not been used to in his career, and to watch him come back in this fashion, man, is impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you get up into these top ranks, it really is about overcoming adversity. And there we see now our top riders checking through the VP Fuels Pro row. And, you know, these guys are battling hard here early. We're going to catch up with all the action when we come back to GNCC Live in just a few moments.
When it comes to guarding your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis tires. CST tires.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
In every loss, all the bones of a miracle. For every dreamer, a dream we're unstoppable. With something to believe in.
And we're back with GNCC Live on RacerTV, and as we saw a little bit of a clip of action from yesterday morning during the youth race, we can see that quite a bit of rain fell. It was muddy yesterday, but great conditions here today. And as we're looking at the screen here, we can see AMSOIL, how do you hashtag GNCC Live? So those of you that watch Supercross on Saturday nights know that you can Instagram a photo of yourself watching and hashtag GNCC Live for a chance to win $250 in AMSOIL product. So we've had our podium prediction contest. We used that for a couple years, and now we've got something fresh. So the AMSOIL How Do You GNCC Live contest. So those of you watching at home, listening in on the internet, and on your phone, however it may be, why don't you show us a picture of exactly how you do GNCC Live? Make sure you hashtag GNCC Live on Instagram, and you can possibly win a chance or get a chance to win $250 in AMSOIL products. Someone will win today, and it's some great product. And obviously, if you're at home, you might as well get involved.
Well, I'm excited, Johnny, because you know how our friends watch GNCC. There's a bunch of them crammed into one room around a huge TV, and, it's hard to tell what's going on all over the country right now. A lot of fun to see those pictures on Supercross, and I can't wait to see what the GNCC Racing Nation's doing at home today.
Absolutely. When you get home on Monday or even on the way home on Sunday nights, you get the text, you get the phone calls, you get the voicemail, and family members, friends, people that weren't able to make it out, they're tuned in. So I know my sister, my mom, my sister's a hotel manager, general manager of a big hotel, and she'll sit back in her office with her computer doing work and then her iPad sitting there watching GNCC Live. So
I love it.
I'm sure there's a lot of stories like that, and so let us know. How do you GNCC Live? Make sure you hashtag GNCC Live on Instagram with a picture of how you're watching the GNCC action here from the FMF Steele Creek in Morganton, North Carolina, and possibly win $250 in AMSOIL products. Now we're out in the open field here about the 6-mile marker, and we're seeing several of our classes a little bit further back here working their way through. And this is one of the very few open sections of the Steele Creek GNCC. This course is very twisty and turny and up and down the valleys. A lot of elevation changes, a lot of trees, a lot of obstacles out there. And this is kind of one of the more open sections where you can really open up those machines and get some speed going.
Johnny, one thing that kept coming up yesterday was the importance of a good start here. Now, naturally, you always want a good start in any race, but they said actually to get control of the racing line here, is absolutely critical.
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak from a standpoint of ATVs. This track is incredibly hard to pass on. It's a great track. It's a good track for racing. It offers a lot of diversity in terrain, but the one theme throughout the entire track is because of the elevation changes, because of the valleys, and because of the number of trees and how tight it is, it really is fairly one line, I guess you would say. So it's and here we see a couple sections where there's not one line. There's actually 2 lines, but this is near our FMF power point at the 2-mile marker. So we should be seeing our leaders working through here in just about any moment. And actually, looks like we've already had our leaders come through this section. So my apologies there. But yeah, it's a great track. It offers, I got to tell you, Megawatt, we've been racing here since 1997, I believe. And this is the best I've ever seen the dirt here. That rain that we had, we talked about that video we got to watch there with the youth riders. What was it? Friday afternoon, we got a really big rainstorm came through. And then another one that night, I believe also. It made the pits a mess. It made, standing water everywhere. By the time action rolled around yesterday for the 1 p.m. pro race in the ATVs, the dirt was perfect.
We knew that was going to happen too, Johnny. What a lot of people don't know that we're traveling is they've had a really dry spring down here. They've had a really dry pre-spring and that type of thing, so the ground really soaked it up. A lot of the heavy water, of course, ran right down the trenches, ran right down the ditches into the creek. So guess what? The rest of it was soaked right into the race course itself, and that moisture came up all day yesterday, made for phenomenal traction. And look at this. Here we are at the end of a weekend of racing, and look at the traction conditions we're looking at in the woods right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and hats off to the GNCC crew for that. Ryan Eccles, Jared Bolton, and all their guys. They do such a phenomenal job. They know so much about these facilities. To be able to lay out a course that, there really hasn't been any weekend, any bottlenecks all weekend, despite the, a huge amount of rain we got. So they laid the track out perfectly, expecting the conditions to be what they are. So hats off to those guys. Those are the unsung heroes of GNCC racing. We get to see all the racing action. Those guys put the facility and the course together that makes it all happen.
Man, you hit the nail on the head, Johnny. These guys spend around the clock. They spend 72, 96 hours, 3 or 4 days solid, making sure everything's in tow. Last night in the dark, they were out here with headlights, making sure they were getting banners back up, make sure they were getting the pits properly placed and that type of thing to make sure everything was perfect this morning. And you're right, they are the unsung heroes.
Yeah, and as we're looking here at the 7-mile marker, so this is a little bit of the, it's a flowy section, but it's fairly fast comparative to what we would see a little bit further up on top of the mountain. But I don't believe this is some of our riders a little bit further back. We have not seen our leaders come through this section yet. This is immediately after the open field section where we were watching just a few moments ago. So we'll have to wait and see. We should be seeing our leader, if it is still Hot Rod Charlie Mullins, the number 112 for those of you who haven't joined us prior to this season. Mullins is new this season, but certainly not new to GNCC racing. A former GNCC champion in his own right, multi-time amateur champion, multi-time enduro champion, factory FMF KTM rider. This guy's got a resume that's longer than Santa's naughty list. He knows how to go fast in the woods. He's from North Carolina. So although maybe if you're kind of new to GNCC racing, he may not be a name that's familiar to you, he himself is not at all new to GNCC racing.
Well, I tell you, we talk about things leading up to the show. We talk about things during the week, and naturally Charlie's name kept coming up. And also, so did Trevor Bollinger's name, and Lane Michaels' name came up several times. Look at this guy, 3rd place overall right now. Lane Michael making the best of the given situation. And, man, Trevor seems to be hanging right in there about 8th place or so, and I think Lane actually picking up the pace just a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we noted when they checked in there at the finish line, it looked like Lane Michael had about a 12-second lead over Trevor Bollinger. But the one thing that we didn't see was Trevor Bollinger had passed through about 18 riders from the start to get to that position he was in. Lane Michael was about 5th or 6th off the start. So each of those guys neither one of them had clear track. It was actually Craig DeLong, that coastal rider, that grabbed the whole shot. Craig hanging tough there. I believe he was in the third place position when they came through the VP Fuels Pro Row just a few moments ago. So it was Lane Michael leading the way with about 12 seconds over Trevor Bollinger, and then hot on his rear wheel was Craig DeLong, and then also Tegan Temple, the number 525 Beta there in the 4th place spot. So second, third, fourth, nose to tail, and those guys are in hot pursuit trying to run down Lane Michael.
This place has a reputation of being unpredictable. All kinds of unexpected things happen here, and I can tell you, unexpected things happening already in this race.
I'll
that's
tell you
for
right
sure,
now,
man.
if somebody would have told me that Charlie Mullins was going to come out and lead the first lap, I wouldn't have necessarily disagreed because he's got great sprint speed. But if they would have told me he was just going to flat walk away the first lap, I would have said, no, I'm sorry. You know, Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, Chris Box, Thad Duvall, these guys are all going too fast right now to let that happen. But, again, we do see Caleb Russell hard on the charge. Looks like he's cutting into that gap that Mullins has built up just a little bit. So we should be seeing him here at the 6-7 mile marker in just a matter of a few moments. And at that point, we'll get a stopwatch on him and see. We'll let all you folks watching at home know exactly how that battle's starting to shape up.
Then the story will be told, no doubt. When we get the stopwatch on them, no question. Then you'll have the numbers in front of you. Then you'll have the actual facts. So the story will start to unfold when we see those numbers. No two ways about it.
You know, Megawatt, let's build the suspense a little bit. What do you think? What do you think we're going to see
no.
when these guys check in? Are we going to see Charlie Mullins continuing to open up that gap and pull away? Or are we going to see Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, and the rest starting to reel him in?
How about this? How about Charlie Mullins is going to keep the lead. His adrenaline's going to keep him up front right now, but I can tell you this much. Caleb Russell has a point to prove, and I'm going to have to say that he's going to start reeling him in during lap 2.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I believe that you know, Caleb Russell obviously is on a mission after having a little bit of rough luck at the first 2 rounds and kind of getting caught off guard. Josh Strang not taking anything away from him. 2 commanding wins, but Caleb Russell certainly looks like he's determined here early, and I think we're going to see him really put his best foot forward to try and run Charlie Mullins down here in lap 2, but we'll find out here just real soon.
Awesome. Hey, Johnny, I'm going to hand the microphone over right now to our host, the man himself, the godfather of GNCC announcing, the man, the myth, the legend, Rodney Tomlin, stepping in right now.
GNCC Racing, folks. Rodney Tomlin. Rodney getting back from the starts, doing all the announcing up there. Joining us here in the GNCC Live studios here at RacerTV. And, you know, Rodney, how about it? With Charlie Mullins grabbing the whole shot, pulling away early. Lane Michael leading XC2, a rider we haven't seen lead that class yet this year. We've got Trevor Bollinger charging his way up through the pack, a local boy from Morganton, North Carolina, the very site of the Steele Creek GNCC, where we are this weekend. So many storylines here early. What do you think, man? What are you feeling? It sure seems like an exciting day.
I'll tell you what I'm feeling is it was pure excitement whenever I seen the 112 out front. It was definitely not a hard thing to say Charlie Mullins out front, hot rod Charlie Mullins with the whole shot. What was weird about that whole thing, it has been so long since I've had the opportunity to say that. And I'm with you guys. I'm just utterly amazed at just what Charlie's been able to put forth here in this first lap and a half. Been listening to a lot of the radio traffic from the track crew. It is an intense battle. Things are really tightening up out there, as you guys have anticipated and expected. And when we get to the next shot, when these guys get here to mile marker 10 or so, it's going to be pretty impressive. Actually, we're going to see them at mile marker number 6 next, I guess, Johnny. But in any second, and we could have a new leader. Let's see what's happening.
I can tell by the riding style. I can see who's first and who's second. But I'm going to wait and let everybody see when they pop out. Now, actually, the afternoon track runs a little bit different than the morning, so they're going to make one more loop. They got a little section of pits before we actually see them come back through here, too. That looks like Josh Strang there in third. No, that was not Strang. That was actually looked like Chris Bach in third. Strang back in 5th now. And here we see, and who do you think that is out front, Rodney? We got 2 FMF KTMs. Who's 1 and who's 2? I can tell by looking at them.
Well, looking at that, it looks like Caleb Russell out front to me.
You got it.
And that's
we
Charlie
got a new leader.
Yep, and Charlie Mullins hot on his rear wheel. Now, this is not a bad place for Charlie to be because, number one, he proved to himself and that he's got the speed that he needs. Even though Caleb may have chased him down, now it's an opportunity for Charlie to key off of Caleb and see what the pace is really like now and see what he's going to have to push toward to try to achieve the greatness that he is out to achieve. And, you know, he's in a very favorable place right now. If he can ride right here all day long, it'll be a pretty amazing feat. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys get together again. I don't know. Again, you know, it's a 3-hour race. It's been a couple of years since Charlie raced. What his bike fitness is like right now, that's the big question. But I know that he's been training and pushing hard, even through the injury.
Hey, Rodney, is this 2013?
Oh, it looks like
Charlie
it.
Mullins out front on those FMF KTMs just running away. But tell you what, only 11 seconds back is Chris Bach. So Chris Bach actually has really picked up his pace. Looks like Bach in third, now Strang up to fourth. That is Duvall in fifth. That appears to be Grant Baylor in sixth. Maybe Jordan Ashburn in seventh. I apologize, I couldn't really catch. I didn't have numbers on any of those guys. I was just going off their riding styles and what I know they look like. But I'm not certain. I believe that might have been Jordan Ashburn there in sixth or seventh. Now we see, oh wait, that was Grant Baylor. So that was actually Daniel Milner, I believe, in the fourth place position. So here we see there is Caleb Russell. Charlie Mullins still hanging tough. He's kind of just shadowing Russell there. And, you know, like you had mentioned, if he can stay in the shadow of Russell, keep him kind of, I guess, on his rear wheel, that's going to make things a lot easier for him throughout the day, especially once they get into those lappers.
Oh, yeah, and that's going to be coming up before we know it. Nearly 300. Actually, I think there are over 300 riders on the racetrack here this afternoon, Johnny. And, you know, oftentimes we see those numbers, but whenever you get in a trail like here in North Carolina where there's not a lot of passing opportunities, I mean, you really got to be creative out there. It certainly makes for a more challenging race for those guys up front, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it really is once the lappers come into play, and I have to correct myself there. The rider that I thought was Baylor and then possibly Milner, I'm colorblind. It was actually Ryan Sipes. I saw the MSR gear and I thought it was blue, but it turns out it was red. So apologies for that, folks. But Ryan Sipes up in there in the mix, inside the top 5 early. Now we see, it looks like Tegan Temple working his way through. There we see the number 22 machine of Chris Douglas. Unless that is the 212 of Ricky Russell, we really need to get those guys to change those numbers up. But there is Grant Baylor on screen. Looks like that's at the 7-mile marker. Grant hard on the charge. He's got a shadow from what looks to be possibly his teammate, Daniel Milner. Those are 2 Ampro KTMs, or Ampro Yamahas. And there we see, oh, look at this. Talk about the battle for XC2 heating up. Look at this. There's Lane Michael, your leader, hot on his heels. Trevor Bollinger, the number 10 JCR Honda. Those guys are really charging hard.
Man, I tell you, it's such calculation by these riders right now. I'm watching Trevor Bollinger. I got to say, it looks like he's, I'm not saying that Lane Michael isn't, but on a level right now that is, well, going to be tough to beat today.
And there's third place in XC2. That's Craig DeLong, the number 11 Coastal Husqvarna rider. Craig was up on the podium there in Florida, ended up 4th in Georgia, so a solid start to the season for the young rider out of Pennsylvania. Looks like Jesse Grom, who we actually saw make quite a lengthy stop there in the VP Fuels Pro Row at the end of lap 1. He was actually discussing some things with his mechanic. I'm not sure if that was Stu Baylor or if that was Corey Buttrick. We saw it was one of the SRT KTMs coming by, so I'll have to wait till they check in at the finish line to see exactly who that was. But yeah, torrid battle already shaping up at the front of XC1 and also at the front of XC2. Both classes, the leaders are wheel to wheel.
Well, there comes Ricky Russell now. There's the 212. We can distinguish that one.
Yep, and there's Tegan Temple, the 525 Beta, so that would be the 5th place ride in XC2 now.
Well, Johnny, I tell you, looking at this racetrack, its conditions are far cry different than what we were facing yesterday, I think, at this time. And even as dry as it was yesterday, last night's wind and the sun late yesterday afternoon and things really turned things around and made it even a different racetrack than what we saw yesterday.
You know, Rodney, honestly, when we pulled in here on Friday, the conditions were a little bit damp, but just kind of spongy. And then we got all that rain on Friday afternoon. Friday night it rained all night. Saturday morning it rained again early in the morning. And, you know, this place was just an absolute mess. We've been here enough to know how this place shapes up. But if it was your first time here, as you were watching vehicles be towed in with, you know, bulldozers, would you have believed it if they said, hey, by 1 o'clock on Saturday, they're going to have to water the VP Fuels Pro Row and the field section because it's going to be so dusty that you won't be able to see anything. People would have looked at you and said, man, I'll have what you're having because that must be some good steak you're eating.
Well, I'll tell you, whatever it was you were having certainly opened your vision up to what Sunday was going to bring as we've got the little bit of dust starting to fly in the field. And again, yeah, if you were here on Friday, you would have never dreamed this possible, I don't think. But that's the nature of GNCC racing as We continue to watch things here at FMF Steele Creek GNCC, round number 3, folks. And don't forget, how do you GNCC live? That's a good question, man. We want to see the photos. Instagram those up. Ooh, we got a great battle coming, too.
1-2, and they're actually having a little bit of a battle with our track sweeper there. And Caleb Russell leading the way, the number 1 machine, followed very closely by the number 112 of Charlie Mullins. So those guys are nose to tail. Now, that wasn't Chris Bach that just came through with those guys.
It likely was.
It almost looked like that may have been Chris Bach. It was, because here's Josh Strang. So Chris Bach now has closed up right onto the rear wheel of Charlie Mullins. So now it's a 3-rider battle for lead. There's Ryan Sipes, so Josh Strang just in front of him. That's 4 and 5. Thad Duvall, or I'm sorry, Jordan Ashburn 6, Thad Duvall 7.
Now, let me ask you this question. What's the possibilities of a 5-way shootout up front, man? I mean, wouldn't that just be crazy to see something like that happen?
Rodney, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm 38 years old. I'm developing some heart troubles in my old age. I couldn't take it. Let's not do it. I'm not ready for it. If we get a 3-way battle for the lead for a couple laps, if we get another rider interjecting themselves in there, I'll be fine with it. But if this thing comes down to a 5-rider shootout at the end, I'm going to have to excuse myself and go lay down, because I just can't take it.
Get the nitro pills ready.
It's already been an exciting weekend. I had a couple of crashes on Saturday, had an exciting morning, so I can't take any more. It's time for me to just, have a nice chill race. So if these guys want to settle into a position and get about, 20, 25 seconds between them, that'd be great. There we have Lane Michael. I don't think we saw Trevor Bollinger.
There he is.
There he is. So there's the second place in XC2. Lane Michael leading the way, Trevor Bollinger second, and there is Jason Thomas, one of our XC1 riders, who's pretty accustomed to battling with Lane Michael and Trevor Bollinger last year when he was in the XC2 class. So maybe he'll hitch a ride with those guys. Looks like we've got a rider down. That is Craig DeLong. He's down, and now he's stuck. So not a good little section here for Craig DeLong.
No.
He's losing a lot of time. He's laying down. Now he's stuck. He's back on the bike. He's trying to get going. He probably lost a good 15, 20 seconds there,
easy.
Rodney. That was not good.
No, that was unfortunate for Craig. And, it's too bad because Craig started out so strong today. I asked him in his interview what he was going to be doing. He gave me the typical Barry Hawk answer. Get a good start, try to stay up front, and be there at the end. One of those type things. And it looked like we had Corey Buttrick just come by, but not far in front of him, unfortunately, was the other SRT KTM of Stu Baylor. So Stu, who had a phenomenal ride in Georgia, 3rd place overall with his first podium in 5 years, I believe it was, not having a good go of things here early in Steele Creek. There's Ricky Russell, the number 212 MCS Suzuki. Ricky Russell just outside the top 10, it looks like. But, we see these guys are really struggling through this section. Yeah.
I can tell you yesterday there really wasn't anything there that would have slowed these guys down. So maybe it's gotten chewed out and it's a little deeper than
That's
it was
a section I remember from, 10 years ago. It has the potential to be very challenging through there. And though it hasn't been the last couple of years, and maybe not so much for you yesterday, today it has certainly taken on a whole new appearance.
Well, Rodney, I got to tell you, this very point that we're looking at right here, where that land bridge is, if we look just to our right as those guys come across the land bridge there, that didn't used to be there, but we used to cross there. So many years ago, this would have been 2006, or I'm sorry, 2001, 2002. We used to cross right there, but it was through water. And the one year it rained, that was about 3 foot deep, and we all had to charge our way through it. So improvements to the facility made this place a whole lot better for racing. So now we see, looks like Caleb Russell still with the lead as we refresh our screen.
Yeah, 1.6 seconds over Charlie Mullins. Chris Bach only 1.9 seconds behind them. Lap times 25:19 for Russell, a 25:38 for Mullins, and a 25:15 for Chris Bach. So that kind of tells the tale of the tape. Mullins did have a monstrous lead there at the end of that first lap, but now he's settled in the pace and going to be interested to see if he can hang there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Josh Strang, Ryan Sipes, Jordan Ashburn, Thad Duvall all checking in. So we've got our top.
So Josh has actually gotten around Sipes, and now he's only 15 seconds behind Chris Bach.
Yes, he has. but at the beginning of the lap, he was in 3rd place behind Caleb Russell. So he's actually back a spot from where we had seen him earlier.
I missed that.
But up a spot from where we had seen him last.
Right.
So he's doing a little bit of up-down action there, but still certainly within striking distance of the lead. Now we see, looks like Grant Baylor working his way through the finish line chicanes. Number 314 Ampro Yamaha machine. We've got so many of those guys working their way through. It's hard to keep them straight. We got the 514, the 314. There is Lane Michael and possibly one of our X1 guys behind him. Bollinger looked like he was right behind those guys.
Yes, he was. Now here's the scenario. Last time after just in time, Lane Michael was 3rd place overall. After 2 laps complete, Lane Michael turning a 25:39.5 is now 5th place overall. Trevor Bollinger is 6th place overall in the XC2 Pro Lights. He's only 2.5 seconds behind Lane Michael. Lap times between those guys, Bollinger turned a 10-second faster lap than what we saw Lane Michael turned. So we could see the possibility of the change starting to heat up right now. And more leaders are checking in through the finish line area. There are some more of our XC2 Pro Lights riders. We see Jason Thomas has made his way in the XC1 Pro class. I believe we may be looking at our new 3rd place rider in the XC2 Pro Lights class. And we got Michael, Bollinger, and believe it or not, I think we got Craig DeLong still in that number 3 spot even after losing all that time.
Rodney, I don't mean to jump in here, but I just stepped out of the studio, ran over to the VP Pro Row. Quite a development happening. Caleb Russell with the lead, Chris Bach all over him in 2nd, and Charlie Mullins has dropped back to 4th place. Josh Strang up into 3rd, so there was a mix-up between the finish line and VP Fuels Pro Row.
Wow.
And man, these guys are hard on the gas, I got to tell you that.
Well, we'll see if we can get an update off the track crew right now. Hey, track crew, this is Rodney. We're live on RacerTV.com. We just saw the change with Mullins dropping back to 4th. Anybody happen to see what's going on? Got any intel on that? We'll wait for it.
Looks like.
Don't know what happened there, but, back at the 4.1 mile mark, that's where Caleb had reeled Charlie in. And then from there to the 5.5, Caleb was ahead. And apparently, I don't know if Charlie's if he's having any issues or not. So from the 2nd checkpoint to where you guys are at, he went back from 2nd to 4th. So who knows?
All righty, thanks a lot, Hollywood.
And as we're watching over here in the VP Fuels Pro Row, that we can see from the front of our studios, Lane Michael continuing to lead the way. We could not see if he pitted. Trevor Bollinger definitely did pit at the end of that 2nd lap and lost quite a bit of time to Lane Michael. Looks like he's upwards of 10 to 12 seconds behind Michael now, where he was right on his rear wheel.
Wow, yeah, a lot of changes taking place in that little section of track there. It's pretty amazing, honestly.
One thing I can say for sure, obviously with the KTM semi right in front of us, Charlie Mullins dropping back to 4th. It was not anything that was a bike issue that he wanted to address, because he rolled right past the KTM semi, didn't make a stop, no water bottle, no goggles, no fuel, nothing like that. So possibly just a little miscue, or they are already starting to go by lappers, so anything is possible. Here we see the leaders coming at the 2 mile marker. Caleb Russell leading the way, and oh, look.
Whoa. Thread the needle there, huh? Coming in a little tight. Was that Strang that went in? Who was that? Wow, that was certainly a interesting line choice there, and looks like
yeah, and that was Chris Bach. So there we see Josh Strang now taking that line, Charlie Mullins taking that line, and Ryan Sipes taking that line. So Chris Bach momentarily takes the lead over, but Caleb Russell charges back around. So I guess that was a good line there. Just Caleb Russell did not see it.
Right. I mean, you look at that, you can tell that's well within the 25-foot rules there, I think. So, I mean, just a good observation.
You can see the Honda guys now running over there. They're going to make sure that Trevor Bollinger doesn't miss that line. Now they're pointing these guys that line and making sure everybody sees it, or at least the front runners. These are some lappers we see working their way through. But, wow, that was quite a shakeup there. Caleb Russell leading. Chris Bach saw that inside line, grabbed the lead, but then you can see he didn't have the momentum on the uphill. Caleb Russell charged back around the outside of us.
Well, it was certainly a crafty move, no doubt about it, and it shows you that line choice is very critical out here in the GNCC trail as Grant Baylor makes his way by now. He goes the long haul now. Very
there we see Lane Michael. There's your XC2 leader. We should be watching now. We see coming down the hill is Daniel Milner. He's going to take the long way around. Next, we should be seeing Trevor Bollinger. Looks like they're pointing him the line, and he misses it. So he had an opportunity to get a little bit of time there, but he did not see his crew member there. So he goes the long way around and into second place still.
That's definitely focus. You can see that. There's Jason Thomas making his way through. After 2 laps of racing and a little more, we're about 55, 56, almost 57 minutes now into the race. Of course, our leaders here include Caleb Russell out front. Now up to the number 2 spot is Chris Bach. Josh Strang back at the number 3 spot. Charlie Mullins is 4th. And 5th overall, Lane Michael. GNCC Live continues after this.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Max's Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV MC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
Believe us, just watch. Late night, I go uptown. I know every night we shut it down. If you don't believe it, just watch. Late night.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. What we're watching right now is what happened just a few moments ago as Caleb Russell makes his way down the hill here at this one section, and all of a sudden up from second place and momentarily into the number 1 spot. Chris Bach steals the lead away from Caleb Russell, but we see right here Caleb was able to use the momentum and muscle his way back by Johnny Gallagher. That was pretty exciting there for a moment, and that became a hot line all of a sudden.
Yeah, and then we saw a bunch of our riders behind. Josh Strang, Charlie Mullins, Ryan Sipes, all the guys behind him grabbed that line, and it looked like the crew tried to show Trevor Bollinger that line, but he did not catch it in time, didn't get an opportunity to make up that little bit of time as he tries to reel in Lane Michael in that XC2 battle. There we see Scott Grills coming by, one of our XC1 riders that has stepped up this year from the XC2 class, and there we see the graphic on screen. AMSOIL, how do you GNCC Live? Instagram a photo of how you watch #GNCC Live for a chance to win $250 in AMSOIL product. So again, make sure you get it on Instagram, make sure you #GNCC Live, and then everybody will get a chance to not only see how you GNCC Live, but you'll get some free stuff.
Always love that free stuff, that's for sure. You know, also there just a few moments ago, we were checking in with Jesse Groen. We saw that he was in the pits there a few moments ago, and I know that Megawatt Matt Watson made his way over to the pits, and from what I gather, we might be able to get a little bit more intel from Megawatt here in a moment, but a hole in the radiator for Grom, and that's going to take him out of that number 4 spot in the XC2 Pro Lights class as we welcome to the RacerTV.com GNCC live broadcast, the voice of NBC Sports Racer TV. We're talking about the weeds. Jason Wygant, welcome back home, brother.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out, speaking of TV, to our new TV producer, working with Big Brad Jones and doing a great job. We just cut the first 2 races in Florida and Georgia. I think it's on today, as a matter of fact, our Florida round. And he's doing a great job really getting inside the helmets and talking to these riders and finding out some things that we didn't even know that some of the riders were struggling with. We found out Cole Richardson, who we had big hype on for our XC1 ATV division this year, some of the health problems he's been going through, which have affected his results. So good job by Brad and everyone on the TV crew. We're going really deep inside the minds of the riders and find out what's affecting them mentally and physically. So the TV shows this year, all new. You probably enjoy that. And I enjoy coming out here and seeing as many of these as possible, especially when it's 72 and sunny. Perfect day for racing. Let's do 2. Let's do 3 hours, take a break, and do 3 more.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you did a couple of hours yourself this morning, right?
I did.
Yeah, hold on, Jason. As you're saying, let's do 3 hours and do
for
3
them.
more. We just talked to Jason, and he said, I just raced this morning, and I said, did you have fun? He said, you raced yesterday. It's not fun. It's rough. It's
when
terrible.
You're tired.
Yeah. It hurts. It's absolutely brutal. But when I'm done, it's a feeling of accomplishment, and it was fun. So now you're telling you want to race these guys 6 hours.
It's professionals. It's professionals are very good at what they do. I can tell you, when Casey Martinez went by, she did not look tired. She looked like pretty darn fresh.
How many times did she go by you, by the way?
Only once. Only once.
Good.
We're making progress. Yes. It is interesting, actually. Yeah, I'd say 15% of the race you're doing things right and you're feeling good. About 50% of the race you're exhausted and you're like, man, I don't know how much further I can go. And then the rest of it you're just crashing and stuff. So that's it. 15%, I'm going to say, is awesome while you're out there.
Crashing and stuff.
Yeah, crashing and stuff. Yeah.
So, Jason, as you were out there this morning and you were charging around the course.
Charging.
From the plus 35.
Yes,
C
young
class.
man in the 35. I really had those guys pegged. I thought I had them.
You were out there charging around. What did you think when you heard the rev limiters, the 250F rev limiters was Becca Sheets and Casey Martinez,
well, that was the problem.
The women's class riders coming up.
I got about halfway into the last lap, and Casey comes by, and I'm like, well, this is going to be bad now because we're going to have, 50 really, really fast riders probably right behind her. And not just that class, but the sportsman division as well. So at that point, your race is done. You're just getting out of the way and not screwing up the overall for someone who actually it really matters to, where I'm just out here to have fun. So
is it
2.5 good laps.
Is it true that Becca Sheets stuffed you to go get the win?
A couple years ago, I was taken out, actually, by Jessica Patterson. I have not let her hear the end of that. That's what I'm saying. When they go by, you know that every second counts for them, so don't get in their way. They will just go through you.
They're just little girls.
What's that?
They're just little girls.
Even worse, I'm on one of Casey Martinez's old bikes, so I can't even blame the machine. It's exactly what she rode to victories 2 years ago.
That's pretty. All right, this is footage from the bridge down there, the concrete bridge here. This is last lap footage that we're watching right now. I think this is courtesy of our NBC Sports crew. This is raw footage that we're seeing from them right now. And actually, Jacob Beck from our RacerTV.com crew, it will also be used with that. And there we see, I believe, that strain going by. And you can see how much of a gap there was that last lap around and how much it tightened up from that point on, Jason. I mean, it's amazing what the difference a few thousand feet can actually make here, especially at Steele Creek, I think.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a little bit of a strategy game in these first 2 races, and then maybe also today. You know, Josh Strang didn't go out and wax everybody from the first lap at the first 2 rounds that he won. Hung back a little bit in Florida, rode behind Caleb a while in Georgia, and you just don't know what the strategy is going to be. Kind of old school. You remember when you and I were at these things every week, guys would say, I don't even want to lead early in the race. They would let other guys lead. Now they kind of just burn right from the get-go. So it's interesting to see those gaps tighten up. You can't really just see the first lap or 2 and say, okay, this guy's on it, this guy's not having a good day.
Right. It all changes. And one thing to point out is Josh Strang really freight trains up through the pack there, man. Just like you said, I mean, he kind of hangs back, and that's kind of what we've seen. But once he gets rolling, man, once he gets rolling, it's hard to slow him down. And I think what we've seen last, he went up, he was in a decent spot, he fell back, and I think we started seeing the train picking up momentum, to be honest with you.
And the Georgia race is so hard to judge because so many riders are just exhausted from Florida.
Right.
And we have that short turnaround. So I expect to see some of the riders that struggled a bit in Georgia, like Bach, doing very well, leading the race, and Daniel Milner, who rode so well in Florida, not so good in Georgia. You can't count those guys out today, and certainly Bach is proving it right now.
Wow, Chris Bach and Caleb Russell out front right now making things happen, and that is pretty impressive. I guess maybe Russell didn't get back around him out there, so that might have changed things up a little bit. But wow, an hour into this race, Jason, we still got just under 2 hours of racing left to go. And again, we can't begin to call much of anything, but already so much has happened in only an hour and 7 minutes. All right, we're getting reports that actually Caleb got tangled up with a lapper and lost a little bit of time out there, and that's explaining some things, I think. But still, a lot of events taking place. You know, I talk about this place. I tried to lay off of it in the quick fill and stuff this year about this place being so much lore about it, so many stories to be told. But you just can't stay away from it, man. I mean, already this is another monumental weekend where there's so many stories that can be told. And right now, there's one that is riding that may be the biggest story of the weekend.
Charlie Mullins coming back, maybe bidding for a podium here, and hole shotting. You and I, our eyes were like saucers when we saw him come around that second turn with the lead. Hasn't raced in, really since 3 seasons ago. This is amazing.
Yeah. Can you imagine this? So Caleb Russell is closed back up at the 7-mile marker. You see that, wow, man, both those guys have got good rhythm and got good attack mode on. I mean, they're both feeling it today. I mean, you're right. These weather conditions out here today, the track conditions, I mean, they're all conducive for just feeling good about being out there and doing good racing.
Yeah, and there's so much traction out there. I think that's the good thing. They can really hang it out. I'm speaking from firsthand experience. Track is excellent. It's not. I think it's going to get a little dusty or dry in a few spots, but for the most part, it's pretty tacky because of all the shade in the woods. So they've got traction, so they can really race each other. They don't have to just worry about trying to stay on 2 wheels. They can push the pace. As we see Hot Rod Charlie Mullins come by here now in third. And the whole question for Mullins is going to be the 3 hours. That's absolutely the thing. You said it right off the start, and we'll see if he can hang on today.
I think Strang was in third, Jason,
okay,
and Charlie back in fourth place. But regardless, still, can he hang on to even that fourth place position? I mean, if he finishes top 5, in reality, a top 5 amongst the competition and the talent that is racing today, coming back off the injury that he came back off of or not, is a pretty monumental feat.
Yeah, I think there was a time where he possibly wasn't going to come back at all. And I think the only thing that rescued him, he told me, I've talked to him about it quite a bit, about this. He said he had hit a point in his career where he was kind of burnt out anyway. So as bad as the injury was, Charlie tells me that it kind of happened at the right time. It happened at a time where he needed a break. He had raced this series and the National Enduros for about 4 years in a row. And at that point, he said he was kind of done. So the time off at least came at the right time. He's certainly motivated to come back here. It's just a matter of, are those risks going to hold up? Is he going to be able to ride hard for 3 hours?
Well, yeah, that is a big question. And another thing is, not only is, the report, we got an update coming in right now. Go ahead, update.
2 seconds on Caleb Russell, waiting on third place.
So is Russell still behind Bach?
Bach first, Russell second, Strang third, Snipes fourth.
10-4, thanks a lot, Hollywood. So there we got the lowdown there. But, I was talking about Charlie Mullins there just a second ago. Not only does he have to, worry about all that stuff, but this injury, he literally had to relearn how to ride a motorcycle because his wrist being fused and stuff, he says that the way that he used to ride, he can't ride like that anymore. So he had to develop a new way to actually handle the motorcycle.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's an adjustment. I mean, imagine how many thousands of hours the guy put in the old way. I was lucky enough to actually ride with Charlie the last 2 weeks as I prepared my comeback to match his for round 3. We were in lockstep. We did everything about the same except for the riding part. And, yeah, that is bizarre that he actually had to change his riding style. I think it affects him a little more in the tight stuff. So for GNCC, he's probably going to be okay. It's not like we have handlebar width trees in some of these sections. But he says when the trail really does get tight, not being able to lean the bike over the same way as before might affect him. But I think the speed is there. It's just a matter of, again, those wrists hanging on. And he said he's more motivated and fired up the train than ever.
That's what I was going to say. And it appears that the heart is there also by the way he's riding. And that's... And, you know, I recollect exactly what you're talking about. Charlie did seem to be a little burned out. I know in a lot of the interviews and stuff I did with him, he just didn't seem to be really have the fire that he'd had before. But, you know, even talking with him in Florida leading into those first 2 rounds, knowing that he wasn't going to be able to race those first 2 rounds, he was excited about knowing that he was going to be racing here at Steele Creek.
Yeah, could be a real X factor. Now let's talk about the leader, Chris Bach, who I know had a pretty good auger in Florida, and he even told me on the starting line that he doesn't know exactly what he has today, but it looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was kind of a...
There he is.
There he is, the leader, Chris Bach, and looks like he's got a couple of seconds there over the number 1 machine of Caleb Russell there in second. You know, Bach had a good run going there, and Florida was second, third, back and forth. Looks like a lap rider down there. As we wait for number 114 machine and Josh Strang. But, you know, in Florida, he had a really good pace going, and then suddenly it seemed like he had lost some time. We thought maybe he got tired. It wasn't until after the race that we actually saw that, you know, the majority of his pants had been removed by a spinning tire.
Wow.
And he really took a hard hit to the head. Didn't think he had a concussion until about midweek. He was having some dizziness issues and just kind of getting sick when he was putting any kind of effort out. He really limped through the Georgia GNCC. I believe he came out with a 7th place or 8th place in XC1, just kind of trying to salvage some points. And a lot of people thought maybe it was just an off day for him, but he really kind of almost second-guessed himself whether he should even be out there racing. But the nice thing for him is there was a 3-week break. He got that 21 days off the bike to, you know, get himself righted, and didn't do much when he got home, just did a lot of resting and kind of taking it easy. And normally Chris Bach is a several time a week ride guy and runs every local race that he possibly can, but took some time off the last couple weeks, and whatever he did, it's working because he's riding really well here early, hour and 15 minutes into this one. And looks like that maybe, is that no, that's not. That's Charlie No,
Mullins has already gone through, I think. There's
Charlie
Mullins, yeah.
right there. So he was caught up in that mess.
Yep.
So
And there's
Baylor
Strang.
is
He's
now
right
working.
behind Strang.
What's that?
Was that Strang?
No, that's Charlie Mullins right here.
Oh, Baylor. Okay, Baylor was just ahead of Charlie now.
Yeah,
So
Grant Baylor was just ahead of Charlie, correct.
So now we see Charlie has dropped off to a number 5 spot.
Yeah, he did get through there, but he lost quite a bit of time. He was tied up with that little bottleneck, along with Grant Baylor. Now we see Trevor Bollinger. I think we may have already seen Lane Michael. Can't tell for sure. I think Lane Michael had already come through. There we see Daniel Milner, another one of our XC2 riders who's been running very strong early in 2016. So we'll have to wait and see when they check in if we missed.
This report, we're going to try to get some information on this, but Charlie Mullins is headed back to the pits from what we understand. Well, back to this Charlie Mullins thing. Again, an hour and 15 minutes into this. I think regardless if his race day's done or not, I don't know if it is, We just got the report that he's headed back. But I think some major accomplishments and major strides have been made, and they're all in the right direction. I just hope that whatever was bringing him back to the pits isn't a step back.
I doubt it. I mean, the 3 hours thing is such a huge line in the sand. So I would wonder if it's just that, just getting used to the time. I don't think it's full-on re-aggravated the injury or caused another one. We'll find out, I'm sure, for certain a little bit later. Here's Chris Bach coming on through the finish line area, making that Johnny Campbell racing on to look good. Another lap down, another lap led for Chris Bach. Got Caleb Russell right behind him. And kind of interesting how this has worked out, this big gap that Strang and the rest of the group would have to.
Yeah, I got to say, Jason, I was really kind of caught off by that when I went over to the 6 mile marker and was watching these guys in the field. Caleb Russell and Chris Bach, not only have they opened up a gap, but, you know, I can't put it any simpler than right now they're just going faster. You know, Josh Strang obviously looks great. He's charging, but these guys are just pushing each other kind of to another level right now. And they've opened up.
Level check.
As we refresh the screen there, we should be able to see what the gap exactly is from Russell back to Strang.
31 seconds
now back. So that was about 14 seconds a lap ago. Now up to 31 seconds. So they're continuing to stretch out that lead. The top two are over the third place rider, Strang.
Yeah, that's a surprise. Obviously, Strang having won the first 2 races of the year. And as Rodney and I were discussing earlier, he didn't exactly lead them from the get-go, but he wasn't down 30 seconds either.
Actually, he was 30
that
seconds.
far back.
He was that far back behind Russell in Georgia.
In Georgia, he was, yeah. Florida, he was up front pretty much all day within contact or leading. In Georgia, he was a ways back from Russell. And then we saw, you know, obviously we know Caleb had some hydration and issues there towards the end of the race. But regardless, Josh Strang turned up the pace and put in some really fast laps there after the 2 hour mark, actually, that kind of clinched the deal on him there.
Well, here's the way things are looking right now. We got Bach, Russell, Strang. We talked about that 2 seconds between first and second, 31 seconds back to Josh Strang, 9 seconds back to Ryan Sipes now in fourth, 17 seconds back to Thad Duvall now in fifth. Jordan Ashburn only 7 seconds behind him in sixth. Grant Baylor now 29 seconds back in the number 7 spot. So, yeah, wow, we're starting to see a different base to this race, it looks like.
Here is the battle for the lead in XC2. Lane Michaels still leading the way, but that number 10 Honda you see right there is Trevor Bollinger, the man stalking him. We know he came in, pitted last lap, which should mean he does not need to pit this lap. Now, this being the completion of lap 2, I believe we're going to see quite a few of these riders coming in for fuel in the BP Fuels Pro Row.
Well, Michael and Bollinger checking in first and second in class. They're 6th and 7th overall after 3 laps of racing. 2.3 seconds separate the two. Looking at lap times right now, your leader Chris Bach, a 25:49. Caleb Russell, a 25:55. Josh Strang, a 26:07. Back to Lane Michael and Trevor Bollinger, where they are running 26:36s, both of them.
Right on the mark, man. These guys are close. And Jason Thomas there in the 8th.
And we see Sipes working his way through VP Fuels Pro Row, just off camera there. These guys are starting to cycle through pit stops. This is where strategy becomes so important.
Well, yeah, you bring that up, Johnny. I was talking to Chad and Thad Duvall before the race. Said at our last race, Thad had closed up and was right there. He had Strang and Russell in sight. He was supposed to stop for gas. He did not want to lose sight of them, so he blew through the pit stop, and then he ran out of gas.
Yeah,
so,
you know, and that's these guys. They do so much calculating as far as how far they can go on fuel, and they've got it down to a science. And I know there was quite a bit of discussion after the race, exactly why Thad ran out of fuel, because you know they, according to all calculations, talking to Chad, talking to DQ, Thad's mechanic, talking to Fred, the KR4 guys, they said Thad should have finished the race with a liter of fuel left.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not only that, did he not come up short and run out, he should have had an extra liter, plus he ran out with more than half the lap remaining. So something really crazy threw off their fuel calculations as we watch Stu Baylor working his way in, checking in at the finish line. Stu up inside, looks like still the top 10. Where's he at there, Rodney?
Stu Baylor right now is checking in at 15th place overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
But was he 11th in XC1 then?
He is. That should put him in 11th, yes.
Yep. Okay, so, you know, Stu had a great run there at Georgia. We can't talk enough about that. Again, 4 years absent from the podium to come back to put that ride in. You know, but keep in mind, Stu was outside the top 5 for the majority of that race and then charged up at the end. So we might be seeing another chess move on the start of Stu Baylor. Although, you know, he really would need to get on it now if he wants to get back up in there and battle for a podium or a top 5.
Yeah, don't count him out just yet. He's still got well over half the race left. We're an hour and 19 or an hour and 20 minutes now.
Battle for the lead here, Rodney.
Yep, there's Bach and Russell again. This is where the pass took place there just a lap ago, and Russell trying to get that momentum on the outside again. Doesn't look like it's going to happen that time, but wow, good stuff going on there, and we were fortunate enough to see exactly how that particular move went down just a lap ago, and you can see that, man, Chris Bach has been riding those rails and making things happen. You know, there comes Josh Strang down the hill now. That looks to be a little closer maybe than the 31 seconds that we saw at the finish line, so he might be starting to close up that gap a little bit. We should be seeing Ryan Seitz come down the hill about right now. That should be him according to the time calculations right now anyway.
Yeah,
So
I was just going to comment that, Rodney. You know, that was definitely quite a bit quicker that we saw Strang, so either he turned it up or it's also possible that Caleb Russell and Chris Bach might have run into some issues with lappers, as those are the first 2 riders that are having to kind of blaze the trail and let the lappers know those guys are there.
Yeah, we were talking about Thad Duvall there just a few moments ago. I don't want to bring up bad lore and bad memories from here, but we got to look back on the successes that have turned to disasters for Thad Duvall here. We've seen him up front and leading on more than one occasion, and somehow or another something always seemed to pop up and cause something. But the one thing about it today, man, it really seems like Thad is a little more calculated than he ever has been in the past whenever he's gotten these situations, and that might be the difference it's going to take to beat this mountain for Thad Duvall.
You see Grant Baylor coming through here in the 314. Yeah, this track has a lot of different things that can catch you, and it just seems like Thad Duvall has been a magnet for that kind of bad luck and those kind of weird circumstances pretty much since the day he joined this XC1 Pro class. He's turned it around for the most part the last 2 or 3 years. Finally got that win a few years ago, gets some podiums, but it's been tough as far as doing it 13 times a year.
Well, Megawatt Matt Watson's got a report from the KTM pits.
Yeah, Rodney, as we saw Charlie Mullins pull into the pits right there and pull the helmet off. As he wiped himself down and had a quick word with him, Charlie hit a square-edged hole out in the mud hole at high speed. He said at full speed, and on top of the already rough conditions we're having, that impact right there just a little too much for the wrist today. So after a stellar performance here in the first half of this race, Charlie hitting a big hole at full speed and just being a little too much for the wrist today.
Well, he's going to have some adjustment time back, and I'm sure there's still a lot of soreness. That's going to take some time to work out. Hopefully it won't be a lingering problem. As we saw Milner coming down the hill there just a moment ago, Jason and Johnny, and I think Daniel might be inside the top 10 there for the XC1. I know he's 11th overall right now.
We did also see there, we had Lane Michael, and he and Trevor Bollinger literally, when we say wheel to wheel, we use it as an expression sometimes, but in this case it was literally wheel to wheel. I mean, there was rubber smoke and these guys were so close together.
Wow, Bollinger, man, it's hard to believe 3 years ago, 4 seasons, I guess, if you look at it technically, but 3 years ago in 2013, he came to this race, his first ever GNCC, as a 4-stroke A lights rider, became the top amateur that day, and here he is in 2016 as one of the top XC2 Pro Lights riders and a challenger, points leader in the class. Just an amazing feat that we've seen by a hometown boy here in Morgantown, and that's always, I think, a cool thing to see, especially when they get to come back home to where it all began for.
Well, it's good to see new riders pick it up, deciding to just try it as a local guy, and then doing well and saying, well, wait a minute, I'm going to make a run at this, and now on the verge of making a career out of it with those great runs at the first 2 rounds in XC2. And I know that the Honda team's got to be happy about that. As we talked about, Bach had some setbacks, unfortunately, but Bollinger certainly carried through for the team. Who knows? Maybe today we could be looking at a sweep for the JCR Honda boys. Bollinger's right in it. Bach continues to hold under the pressure of Caleb Russell, so that shows how far that program has come.
Wow, that would be a first for Honda to have both podiums.
Imagine that.
Yeah. mean, we've seen him on the podium a few times, a win here and there, but to have both the XC1 and XC2, that would be a pretty monumental thing for that team.
I'm pumped for that team. You know, that was a long-running Baja unit for Honda. That was where Honda put all the eggs in their off-road basket, was in the desert in Mexico. They decided to make the change. Johnny Campbell and everybody over there were complete novices when it came to GNCC. They'd never raced woods-type races at all, and they've learned pretty rapidly. It was a good move to just jump on with a box, someone who already has experience in the game, and I think they felt each other out. They've learned a lot, and this is one of the elite teams now.
Well, Chris Bach continues to lead Caleb Russell. Josh Strang in the number 3 spot. Ryan Sipes is 4th. Thad Duvall rounds out the top 5. Another heated battle back in the XC2 Pro Lights has Lane Michael and Trevor Bollinger battling it out for the lead in that class, as well as 6th place overall right now. And back in the number 3 spot of the XC2 Pro Lights, Craig DeLong, the number 11, still holding there. Jesse Grome in the number 4 spot after a stop in the pits. And Benjamin Kelly rounds out the top 5 in the XC2 Pro Lights. GNCC Live continues right after this.
When it comes to guarding your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis Tires.
CST Tires.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
In every loss, all the bones of a miracle. For every dreamer, a dream we're unstoppable. With something to believe in.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher and special guest host Jason Wygant and Megawatt Matt Watson out and about. We want to know, how do you, GNCC Live, it's our AMSOIL contest today. Instagram a photo of how you watch GNCC Live. Hashtag it GNCC Live for a chance to win $250 in AMSOIL products. So maybe we'll start seeing some of those photos pop up here pretty soon. But folks back home listening, take a couple of pictures wherever it is that you're watching. Get your kids in front of the TV, in front of your iPhone, or however it is that you're watching it right now. Let us know. We want to see how you GNCC Live.
Pretty interesting race here. A lot of bench racing beforehand and who's going to be up front. And Chris Bach saying, hey, I had a rough one in Georgia after the big crash in Florida. As Johnny said, whatever the heck went on between Georgia and here, world of difference. Now, he's got Caleb Russell banging on him, but we don't know Caleb Russell's 3-hour game plan yet. In Florida,
right.
In Florida, he was strong at the end, not strong at the beginning. In Georgia, he was strong at the beginning, not so strong at the end. We're not sure. You can't just stamp it that Caleb's got the full 3-hour game figured out yet.
Right.
You know, while we're talking about bench racing, and I don't know where we stand on this, so I'll make it quick. Did anybody get an opportunity to see a little bit of jaw jabbing back and forth between Josh Strang and Caleb Russell on Instagram the last couple weeks?
Oh,
no.
So I'll give you the highlights version of it.
I didn't see anything from Caleb.
Josh Strang made a post referring to a picture of himself, or a video of himself in slow motion. It said just a slow Tuesday, and then hashtagged self-motivated, hashtagged a few other things, Caleb Russell read the post and had heard some grumblings that perhaps Josh was making reference to the fact that Caleb is working with a new trainer this year, and that Josh felt he got the better of him in Florida and Georgia. So there was an interaction back and forth between Caleb, all friendly, no name calling, no profanity, nothing like that, obviously. But they definitely had some opinions about what the other one had to say. Daniel Milner interjected his 2 cents in there, and then of course our buddy Jason Thomas couldn't help but come in and made it into a bit of a WWE scenario at that point. He said he wanted to see a SmackDown or they needed to stop talking. Basically wanted to see them throw down. Obviously we know that's not going to happen, but it certainly, for me, heightened the excitement coming into this event a little bit because, you know, and I'm not putting words in either of these guys' mouths, but if you read the posts, it made it seem as though Caleb felt perhaps that Josh was saying maybe, you know, Caleb wasn't quite ready for those first 2 rounds, and that was, you know, insinuating that, perhaps not saying that Josh was. That was the way Caleb took it. Caleb, you know, Josh came back and said that wasn't how it was intended. It was just a video of me going slow. So nonetheless, then you could kind of gather that each one of them had a little bit of an extra motivation. Obviously, these guys are professionals. They train hard, they work hard, they want to win. But when that kind of stuff is said, it brings a little bit of extra intensity to the battle. So right now, Caleb Russell leading the way, or actually in second place behind Chris Bach, but leading the way between those two. Josh Strang close behind, though, in third. So as we watch this race unfold, keep that in mind that, you know, we saw these guys race each other very, very, very hard in Georgia. Very clean. They're both clean, respectable racers, but they definitely have something to prove.
Well, I think we've seen now when Caleb Russell doesn't win races, for better or for worse, it doesn't sit very well with him. And I know he was angry for the first hour and a half down in Florida over an incident with Sipes in the first turn, incident with Thad Duvall further down the track. And the team kind of told me, yeah, here we got it. And it looks like Caleb has taken the lead.
Yep, new
there
leader.
It is. Caleb Russell now the #1 spot, Rodney.
Yes, he is, and looks like he's starting to put a little bit of a gap between himself and the #2 ride of Chris Bach now, who we assume is in that #2 position. And just like you guys said, you know, we're only we're at the halfway point right now, an hour and 33 minutes into this race now. Yeah, they haven't even began racing, I don't think, at this point.
There's Bach.
There's
the
Bach
gap
in
is,
second.
I don't know, what is that, about 7 or 8 seconds there?
5-7 seconds, something like that. We'll get a shot on in that corner. So that was 48 that he came by, and 54. So 6 seconds.
You said 5 to 7.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah, I like to keep it vague. I like to give myself a little bit of a range. So
5 to 7, 6 seconds. Nicely done. The real question is going to be the distance between they and Strang, who we thought was closer the last time we saw him than he was at the end of the previous lap. And that could be the real X factor, kind of that shark in the water. You got to be wondering if you're in the lead, if you're in second, where is Strang? Is he coming? Here he is.
So that was 54 for Bach and basically call it 30 for Strang. So that's about 44 seconds.
That's actually bigger.
Yeah.
So he's actually lost time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know that Caleb and Chris were pushing each other as they battled for the lead. So here's Caleb now to the #1 spot. Let's see if he can do with it.
Man, look at Russell going right now. Yeah, this right here. You know, you brought up an interesting point about what happened down in Georgia and the fact, you know, that Caleb, when he did overexert himself hydration-wise, I guess, down there could have been a number of different reasons how and why that happened. But, wow, what an ultimate game plan, though, to switch it up and to kind of do what he did here in the first part of the race and then wick it up there at the end. Or even he don't even have to do that. He's basically just got to get a comfortable lead. What's going on?
You see in our small screen there, that was Thad Duvall making all kinds of hand gestures and motions at his pit crew. So his front number plate is also missing. So we don't know if he had contact with a tree, with another rider. But he was making all kinds of gestures and looked like he was looking possibly for information. Don't think he was looking for a new front number plate. That's not a necessity here in GNCC racing, but he was definitely wanting something from his crew. And we see there is Ryan Sipes now, so that should be our 4th place rider as they come by there. One rider to keep an eye on that we have to really keep mentioning here is Grant Baylor.
Yeah.
As this race now reaches the 1 hour and 32-minute mark, I guess it is, this is when Grant Baylor kind of really makes his money. Now there is Thad Duvall, so it looks like he is in the 5th place spot. Again, no front number plate. Looks like the right handguard is mangled up there pretty bad. And there we see, there's the battle for XC2 going on the small screen there. The XC2 lead looks like Lane Michael still has it. Trevor Bollinger still wants it. And there's the man we were talking about, Grant Baylor, on the right side screen there. He's worked his way up now into, I believe, 6th place in XC1. So he's really starting that charge that he's so famous for late in these races.
Wow. So, yeah, exactly. Baylor is up to par. It looks like what we expect to see out of the norm for him. And, again, a long ways to go as far as I'm concerned. A little past the halfway point. I'm going to go ahead and give you a halfway point rundown. So you guys keep an eye on the screens here and let me know what's going on. I want to let everybody know what's going on in some of these other classes out there right now. Real quick, as far as top amateurs right now, the top amateur award, we see Braxton McGee out of the 4-stroke A lights class, Bullville, North Carolina. Number 33 is leading the 4-stroke A lights and is your top amateur today. And that right there, at least at the moment here at the hour and a half mark, we'll see if he's able to hang on to that. But remember, that's where we were first introduced to Trevor Bollinger. The thing is, though, we kind of know Braxton a little bit. He's been around for a couple years, but he might be on the same. He might be able to be on the same path. A good finish here in the 4-stroke A lights class might set the ball in motion. All right, top 10 wise in the XC1 Pro class. Bach, Russell, String. Actually, it's Russell, Bach, String, Sipes, Duvall. Now Baylor, Ashburn, Milner in 8th, Jason Thomas 9th, Corey Buttrick rounding out your top 10. In the XC2 Pro Lights, Ryan McManus is leading there. Craig Daft in the number 2 spot. There's a couple of unfamiliar names up front here. That's Open B. I was going to say, no wonder that was
there you go.
The XC2 Pro Lights, where'd those guys come from? That somehow or another, they changed up my program here is what it is. It used to go XC1, XC2. Now it doesn't do that, so we got to do it this way. Lane Michael, Trevor Bollinger, Craig DeLong, 1, 2, and 3. DeLong, despite the struggles that he's had today, Jason's had a pretty good run, I think, right now.
Had that hole shot, did DeLong on the coastal machine. We'll see if he can stay up there or maybe even close back in. Definitely a 2-way fight for the lead at this point. We'll see if he can turn into a 3-way dance.
Getting some reports that Thad Duvall's bike, once again, problems. They're saying it's not running. Dead bike out there for Thad Duvall. What a heartbreaker, man. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another for Thad Duvall. But maybe we've heard this before, and he's been able to get it running again. We'll see if that happens today. There's Caleb Russell right now crossing the footbridge now, I guess you'd call it. And what was it? Johnny called it the land bridge. The land bridge.
Land bridge. There's Bach. Not too far back.
No. And here's the thing to point out about Chris Bach. Even if he stays right where he's at right now, doesn't even push to try to track down Caleb Russell, he has scored big today, and he's proved a lot of things to himself. And if nothing else, he's put a lot of eyes on him for the upcoming rounds. I think this could be just a glimpse of what's to come. And we keep seeing little glimpses of that out of Chris Bach. They seem to be more closer and closer together nowadays.
I'm seeing the glimpse of the 114. That's Josh Strang going by, and 27 seconds was the gap, and it was
42, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he's closed up quite a bit on Bach. I didn't put the calculator out between he and Russell in the lead, but at least second and third starting to tighten up, and we've seen the kind of damage that Josh Strang can do in the second half of these races. And that's exactly where we are right now. It's the great unknown for the riders in the first and second spots. You see Sipes, I believe, battling his way through that muddy section. And there's a big sand wash that leads you to that huge sand whoops. So that is really tiring when you go through those sand whoops, and then you got to switch over to that river rock and these deep ruts that got a couple of riders stuck through it. That's a really challenging section. And we'll see Sipes through there, at least closed in. A rider down.
Well, we watch some more of these rides here. I want to check in with some of these amateur classes. We'll check the top 5. Open A, Dylan Rash leading there. Dual Murphy in 2nd. Tyler Soriano is 3rd. Paul Petrin is 4th. Vincent Smith rounding out the top 5. That's after 3 laps of racing complete for the Open A. Back in the 258, Zach Nolan leading Evan Earl by about 1 minute and 53 seconds. Looks like got a pretty good, comfortable lead at the moment. Alex Teagarden is third, Eric Douglas in fourth, and Ryan Slopko rounds out your top 5 in the 258 class. As we look next, this is the 208 class. Chase Hayes leading Jesse Ansley, the 329. We got Chase Knopf in third, Dakota Sims in fourth, and Braden Moore and Megawatt Matt Watson. Heard you say a few moments ago that we had some, Jesse, did you say you had some problems?
Yeah, Jesse Ansley, I spoke to his granddad. I noticed he had the drill driver in his pocket and a shifter in his hand. So as they were making a gas stop, had a bent shifter, obviously had to do a shifter swap. So Jesse coming out to start the season with 2 wins, having a little bit of a mechanical issue today. And beside that, I just had a word with Thad Duvall's dad. We noticed him pointing to the bike and shaking his head. The bike just flat shut off, Rodney, and then fired back up. And as we know, that's one of those impossible things to diagnose, man. And here it is. Those mystery problems continue for Thad Duvall.
Well, I was going to say that last time, but last time it ended up being gas, I believe it was. So that explains what happened there. This is totally unexplainable there for Thad in that department, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. Right now, though, Jesse Ansley, I want to point this out. He turned a 32.17. He's 30 seconds behind Chase Hayes, who turned a 30.56. That's about 1 minute and 20 seconds slower, and he only lost 30 seconds. So that goes to show you that Ansley's got some pretty good things. He's still got some time to make up, and he likely, if he continue riding like he was early in the race, could challenge for the win once again. Chase Knopf, as we told you, Dakota Sims, Braden Moore in the 200A class as we go next here to look to Braxton McGee leading the 4-stroke A lights class. Caleb Russell now making his way into the finish. We'll come back to the amateur results in just a moment. Want to catch up with what's going on right here, right now. Russell is in. He is now, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first lap he has led at the conclusion of, and that is lap number 4, just past the halfway point. Pretty remarkable, but now that he's there, I believe he's going to be tough to get away. No sign of Bach just yet, or is it?
No, Bach just came.
Oh, okay, he did come in. All right, yeah, 12 seconds down. 12
Strang.
seconds down. Missed him going through. I was looking at my computer, I guess. Strang coming through now. All right, it was 31.093 seconds. We've seen it as much as 42 seconds. It's now down to 21.5 seconds. Lap times, 25.56 for Russell, Bach a 26.11, a 25.59 for Josh Strang.
So he's closing on Bach, but he's not closing on Russell, who's got the opportunity to put the hammer down and try to get away.
But here's an interesting thing to point out. Josh was only 3 seconds off pace of what Caleb was, and if I'm not mistaken, didn't Josh pass to get into position on this lap?
Well, I think a bigger factor is going to be, again, Caleb coming through that off-season knee surgery. How strong will he be to the 3-hour mark of the race? In Georgia, especially because of the short recovery time between that and Florida, where he had to ride so hard to get on the podium, was not able to match Strang all the way down to the checkered flag. So it's a great unknown. We've had a lot of time off between races. Has he got that entire game figured out now? You know that Josh Strang does not want to give him an inch. Don't let him get confidence. Don't let him get wins. Strang is going to throw everything he has at him here in the last hour and a half.
I don't know how much training Caleb Russell's been doing, but I know right after the last race, I stopped over by and seen his father-in-law, who lives just down the road from him, and Caleb had just left to go bow fishing, believe it or not. Here we are in the pits right now. Caleb Russell going on by, no problems, no issues, no fuel, no goggles. He is on a mission right now, an hour and 43, almost 44 minutes into this race. Again, a 12-second lead over the JCR Honda ride of Chris Bach. Bach making his way through now. Again, he doesn't need to be riding with any sense of urgency. We see the gap now at 16 seconds, I believe, so he's gained another 4 seconds, but no sense of urgency. The best, I think, scenario for Chris Bach at this point, instead of going for the win, is to try to maintain the number 2 spot, which he is still going to have to pick it up. He can't rest on his morals at this point because he's got Josh Strang, who's coming in hard and fast and turning at faster lap time.
Should be Sipes coming through next, but I think Strang has cleared him and everyone else. He is only thinking of who's ahead of him. We already saw Strang come through.
About a 40 seconds back to Ryan Sipes is what we were witnessing when they came through the finish line a few moments ago. Sipes' lap time at 26:29, so he's really slowed his pace down quite a bit. Was that Grant Baylor going by? Yep, Grant Baylor in the number 5 ride there aboard the 314 out of Belton, South Carolina now. Baylor up to 5th is 38 seconds behind Ryan Sipes.
That was actually Jerry Robin making his, for all intents and purposes, GNCC debut today. But he is a lap down. Remember, was hurt, missed those first couple races. So we have not seen Sipes or Baylor, I believe, yet.
Well, we see how the race fans here at Steele Creek are GNCC living. They're hanging out on the riverbanks. They're hanging out on the mountainsides. They're hanging out in the pits. And they're watching some great racing firsthand. But how do you GNCC live? There's Baylor there now. So there was the 314. Very frustrated, throwing some stuff in the pits when he came in for that pit stop there, I guess. By the way, if you let us know how you GNCC live, hashtag that on Instagram, we may be able to set you up with $250 in AMSOIL product. Megawatt?
Hey, Rodney, we need Larry Coles down to the finish line, please. Larry Coles, your little boy's down there waiting on you. They've got him down there. He's safe and secure down at timing and scoring at the finish area. So, Larry Coles, they need you down to the finish line as soon as possible.
Alrighty, sounds good. Hey, I want to go back and keep an eye on this section. I know they'll be coming soon, but I want to look at some of these other classes real quick, Jason. We were into the Junior AB at this point, I believe. Actually, the 4-stroke AB lights.
Here's Caleb coming through here, by the way. See how much he's extended it. Go ahead, Rodney.
Keep an eye on that clock, if you will. Braxton McGee, Tristan Landrum, Hunter Shelton, Tyler Brandup, and Andrew France, your top 5 in the 4-stroke A lights class. There's something interesting to point out as they came through, Jason. They are taking the long line around when they've been taking that shorter line before, and Bach still about 14 seconds behind Russell right now.
Look at the aggression of Josh Strang down this hill. You watched him right now in 3rd place. He is on the chart. Not easy to make up time going downhill, but he figured out a way to do it. 16 seconds or saying. So now the gap is about the same between Russell and Bach and Strang. So we might have a battle for second on our hands before long.
Continuing in our midway report, just past the midway point, Junior A 25 plus, the AB Lucas Towery, son of Ricky Towery, our finish line flagger and start man out front. Brandon Peterson in the number 2 spot. Robbie Towery, his other son, in the number 3 spot. Wes Keller is 4th, and Jeremy Dexter rounds out the top 5. To our Vet A, we see Jesse Robinson, local hometown hero in that one. Hey, Jesse! Him and his wife and little girl Ivy here with us. They're expecting another baby here soon, and the whole family's out. Saw Dad, saw Grandpa. 7 minutes and 35 seconds ahead of second place in this class, the 39 of Joe Marsh. Now, Jesse, got to give him credit. He used to be a top XC1 and XC2 pro rider and pro lights rider, but he has backed off. He's a family man working a normal job. Way out of shape, he'll tell you. There's no lie there. This lead may not hold on. I'll tell you. I'll make an excuse for him right now. He's a little bigger than he used to be, but not obnoxious or anything. But Jesse is certainly not in training mode at this particular point. But
he's a local guy at this point.
Huh?
Local guy.
He's a local guy, and he's a hero, man. Joe Marsh, and I'm not calling Jesse fat. He's just a little bigger than he used to be. Joe Marsh in 2nd, Ryan Emmett in 3rd, Jesse Arsenault is 4th, and Craig Volkemer in the number 5 spot. And Senior A class, what was that?
Taylor just came through a screen. Remember, he had that slow, or perhaps even unscheduled pit stop.
Billy Schlag leading the Senior A class. Francis Corsol in the number 2 spot. John Chambers is 3rd. David James in the number 4 spot. Patrick Tobin rounds out your top 5 Senior A 40-plus class.
It looks like the 7 of Ashburn now. Found an inside line at the bottom.
A look into the Open B class. Craig Daft leading Ryan McManus with Jeremy Lanthier in the number 3 spot. Dominic Jarvis is 4th, and Michael Hall in 5th. Had a chance to get to know Dominic, or meet Dominic Jarvis and his family at St. Clairsville. A great family, and kind of acquainted on Facebook now. Good to get to know that family, and good to see that he chose a good competitive class there in the Open B class, the top Open C class rider last year. Nick O'Brien, the 250B leader, out front of Matthew Davis. So is that Bollinger out front now, I believe?
That's what they're telling us.
So
And
there's late Michael.
Yep.
All righty, I tell you, folks, talking about hometown heroes, we were talking about Jesse there just a moment ago, and what better time to take a look at a little deeper look into that number 10 machine of Trevor Bollinger. The Racer TV crew actually got a chance to catch up with him.
No pressure. I mean, I've always done good here, and I think that's why, because I come in here just to have fun, because, you know, I have a bunch of fans here and friends. So, yeah, no pressure, just a normal routine. I did the same thing throughout the week, and it's nice just to worry about yourself, and, you know, you don't have to worry about the bike or how you get into the races. You just, you just show up and do your homework at home and try to finish the best you can. So it's hard. You have to really get out front early, and that's what I did there. And in the past, I've never really got that chance because you know, I never really get a good start. But once you can get out front, if you can latch onto those XC1 guys in the first few laps, then you can ride with them. But it's hard to catch up. And it's more harder to catch up than it is to just ride their pace. So. To the max the last lap, because I knew I was right there for the podium, and you know, it wasn't that I was dead tired or nothing. I just had my heart rate up, and yeah, it's pretty surreal to get third overall. So I was just laying down enjoying it.
Wow, good kid and living the dream, man. There's no doubt about that.
Hey, factory Honda rider. That's a factory Honda team. Probably didn't expect that when he came out here 3 years ago, you know, running the A class. So good for him. We'll see if Lane Michael can keep him in sight and keep that battle for the XC2 class going, or it's going to be 3 for 3.
Nick O'Brien, Matthew Davis, Gabe Potvin, Jacob Givens, and little Timmy Steiner, your 250B top 5 in that class. We're going to take a look next in our next B class. I got Connor Campbell leading the 200B class with Nathan Davis in second, Cash Jacobs in second, Andrew Kent in third, and Teague Securo in fifth. Securo, we see battling for a top spot in that class quite often. Four-stroke B lights class, Bolton B. Roth, the 258 leading Brendan Poling now with Tyler Bosley in the number 3 spot. Jason Lipscomb is fourth, and Daniel Spurgeon rounds out the top 5. A look back now with Matthew Yukovich leading the Vet B 30-plus class. Mike Barber is second, Jared Hoffman in third, Andrew McQuaid is fourth, Scott Dallin rounding out the top 5. David Galliano leading the Senior B 40-plus class with Joshua Yeatman in second. Christian Brumbaugh is your third-place rider with Michael Owens being fourth, and Jeffrey Flynn rounding out your top 5. And that's a look at the way things are breaking down just past the halfway point here at the FMF Steel Creek GNCC. Once again, Caleb Russell is leading the XC1 and the overall here today. Chris Bach running in the number 2 spot. And it's the freight train, Josh Strang, back in the number 3 spot. We're back live on RacerTV.com right after this.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Max's Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV MC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the
highest level of performance.
If you don't believe us, just watch. Late night, I go uptown. I know every night we shut it down. If you don't believe it, just watch. Late night.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin, Megawatt Matt Watson, Jason Wygant, and also Johnny Gallagher. We got a little bit of a change going on here. You know this section over by the footbridge, remember how bad it's been getting over there? Well, they're now rerouting these riders right through the creek, up the middle of the creek. So that means that that section over there must be getting pretty bad if they're starting to tell people that's the way to go.
Let me tell you, Rodney, if they're sending them up the creek bed, that tells me the side of that riverbank is a mess.
Oh, it's obviously a mess. We saw Craig DeLong get stuck in there. We saw Ryan Sipes barely tiptoeing through that thing just a few moments ago.
The last thing you want to do, Rodney, is use water as a line, expose that bike and the rider to water. So that tells you exactly how bad and how deep it's gotten over there.
Here's something else to point out. It's close to the finish, about a half mile or a mile or so before the finish. One thing you don't want to do is drown that bike out in a heated battle. So it could maybe play a factor later on in this race if one of these guys really gets a little overly anxious going through that section.
Without question. We saw in round one what a little bit of water did to Lane Michaels' day.
Yes, exactly. Drowned it.
It's just one of those things. It doesn't have to be really deep water, Rodney. It's a matter of where the water lands. When you splash it, where it lands in that electrical system, that air box, or wherever, what effect it's going to have on your bike.
Don't forget, how do you GNCC Live? Hashtag GNCC Live for a chance to win $250 in AMSOIL product on Instagram. Instagram a photo of how you watch it. If you're watching it with your cowboy hat, with your boots on, in the bathtub, sitting in the backyard.
I don't think anybody's going to send a picture of us in.
Yeah, I'd like to see how the kids are watching it. Take some picture of your kids watching and see how they're into it. You know, I imagine we probably get some Instagrams from the best boys, if truth be told.
You know, we don't pay a lot of attention to it, but you know, every time it pops up on Supercross, you're looking at the kids in the living room on bikes, you're looking at the party in the garage, you're looking at the cookout out back. You know, it always catches your attention. So you know what? I know the GNCC Racing Nation has a lot of fun ways that they're watching at home. So
exactly. Do you dress up for it? Do you wear your helmet? Do you put your goggles on, man? Do you?
Depends on who my guests are. You know?
Very true with that. All righty, again, an hour now and 57 minutes into this race. We're working on an hour and 58. Now getting to the critical part of the race as far as where the changes really start to take place. I think we saw some of those really starting to take place at the hour and 30-minute mark. And as Caleb Russell makes his way down, I believe, here near the 2-mile marker now. 6-mile marker. There we are. There he is at the 6-mile marker. Caleb Russell is on a rail out here today. He's stolen the freight train Josh Strang's tracks, man, and he's railing it today.
I can tell you right now, that right wrist is locked. I can tell you right now, no problems there, that's for sure. The speed is up, the mentality's there today, and Caleb looks like the old Caleb. Looks like he has a mission, and looks like he's got a purpose today.
Well, you know, truth be told, coming into this round, if I tell you this, you'll probably be totally shocked. But, you know, KTM made some changes to him from 2015 to 2016. But what you don't know is Caleb Russell did absolutely no testing on the 2016 model until just this past week.
Yeah, you're correct. That I did not know. I would assume that while he was, you know, training and getting back up to speed, that he would be working on that new machine.
No, they basically took his practice bike and took the shocks and the suspension off his practice bikes and put them on because they didn't know how to set up or anything like that. They said, well, that's what he's been riding comfortable, so they put those on, and that's what he went with at the first 2 rounds, believe it or not.
Well, in the words of the late Ed McMahon, I did not know that.
So actually, Tanner came down this week. They did a lot of training, and you can see it's paid off huge dividends. Look how fast he's going and how smooth the bike is reacting. And you remember I pointed out what's going on with Caleb. He seems a little loose. He's all over the place. That explains a lot. And it also, it explains the fatigue that set in Georgia.
Rodney, you just went right into where I was going. No question about it. But as we took a look at Caleb going through those whoops there just a second ago, those braking bumps, let me tell you something. The bike was spot on. You are correct. That answers a lot of questions that were in people's minds over the first 2 rounds.
What's wrong with Caleb? Don't look like he rides as well as he used to. It don't look as smooth. Even though he was looking smooth, not as smooth as what Caleb looks, you know?
No question, because when he just went through that extremely rough section right there, his helmet didn't move. The head didn't move.
No.
The bike had a little bit of movement below him, but it was all forward momentum.
Oh, it was. Every bit of it, so. Fast motion, not slow motion. That was a fast motion Sunday, not a slow-mo Tuesday.
Man, did somebody speed the tape up?
So right now we're watching a couple of split screens right here on the RacerTV monitor, and just there's Grant Baylor up there on the 314. That's out near the 6 mile marker right now. Up near the 7 is the lower right-hand box that we're watching as well. Some lap riders coming through there. But here in this last hour and a half, especially today, the critical moments of this race are beginning to unfold as we see another pro rider checking in. Which one is this going to be now? I'm not sure. That is Ryan Sipes. That's all the way back, I believe. Where are we at? In 4th place now. 4th place now. He was 40 seconds behind Josh Strang there at the finish line, but Strang had been picking up the pace. A little bit of a stretch out, not a whole lot more than what it was, but Strang is stretching out a little bit over Sipes. But I think more importantly, the battle that we need to watch is whether or not Strang is going to be able to close in on Chris Bach, the number 4. But again, you know, this may not be a win for Chris, but it is a huge win for Chris Bach's program if he's able to finish second, especially after the digger in Florida, you know, having the less than desirable results, but very strong results, all things considered.
No question. And a day like today is exactly what Chris Bach needed to just rebound, give him that confidence back, and just put him actually in that state of mind again, really, to be honest with you.
314, Grant Baylor coming by in the number 5 spot, now down at the 7 mile marker.
Rodney, the condition of those woods right there, it's just absolutely amazing. Yeah, we're catching some dust out here in the field sections, this and that, but there is 100% traction through these trails today.
That's exactly. There's Jordan Ashburn, the number 7 machine. He's checking in now with us. That's back in the number 6 spot in the XC1 Pro class. And he seems to be actually a pick pace up on himself. He seems to have smoothed things out here late in the race. Jordan's another one of those riders that seems to be able to do that as the race wears on. He seems to find that groove and that flow that he's looking for in the early part of the race oftentimes.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That's one thing that you think about is his ability to come on late in the race, his ability to pick up spots on the last lap, that type of thing.
And there is Bollinger, the number 10. He is flying that.
Wow.
He's going as fast. It almost looked like he's going as fast as Russell. He's got a monster gap now. About a 13-second lead over Lane Michael, and they were like wheel to wheel like a half a lap ago.
Let me tell you, you talk about the complete opposite of Caleb Russell coming through there. Caleb come through there, didn't move. The bike was tracking straight as could be. Trevor come through, bouncing off ruts, bouncing off berms, body left, body right, standing up.
So, but his head was staying pretty still. The rest of his body, that bike was everywhere, man.
Well,
I mean,
we refer to that as riding defensively. There's Caleb coming through the land bridge now.
He did not take that water route that so many folks have been. And actually, I don't know if the track crew was having anything to do with that. It looks like our track crew is down there now. I do see the yellow shirt, so that might have been a spectator option line. Oh, so that was a mud flea line. The mud fleas fooled them. They watched the guy with the bush can.
Yeah, no
they listened
doubt.
to the wrong guy. But our leaders are able to get through. There goes Strang through. Strang, no, did he get by Bach? Wow, something just happened to Bach, and we saw that there was a gap there a few miles ago, but the gap is no longer. Now, I know that Strang is pushing hard. I told you he's coming on like a freight train here in the latter part of this race, and that might be all it is. And again, even at 3rd place, I'm going to say it again, that is a win situation for the JCR Honda team today, and for Chris Bach in particular, again, looking back at the 1st and 2nd rounds.
You better believe it. opportunity to get on the podium today and pick up those points, man, oh man, that's a shot in the arm. That's a boost that he needs, and it's coming at the perfect time today, Rodney.
It most certainly is, and Bach is certainly, I think, more than podium potential every time the green flag waves here at the GNCC. And, you know, we've seen this steadily improving. You know, we've always known Chris as a sporadic top 5 solid finisher. But what we've seen since the marriage of he and Johnny Campbell Racing has been a slow progression into where he is now, and he's building a foundation at the same time, and that's the important part of it, and that's what's going to be the difference, I think, here in probably the beginning peak of Chris Bach's career. We might have thought he peaked a few years ago. We might just now beginning to witness the start of the peak of Chris Bach.
I have to agree with that, Rodney. It takes a couple years anytime to make changes, adjustments, that kind of thing. And you know what? Chris Bach is a threat to win anytime the flag drops. And, you know, putting together a few pieces of the puzzle after a bad start, after a little bad luck in the first couple rounds, sometimes can be challenging. But you know what? Here these guys are rebounding right now and coming back stronger than ever.
They are. And he's got some good teammates, some good incentive there with his teammates also, of Trevor Bollinger. You know, those guys obviously, I'm sure, becoming very good friends and talking and seeing the camaraderie between those two in the pits. They are starting to really get kind of close as teammates and buddies, I think.
Yeah, you know what? You think back to legendary teams over the years, you know, you look at guys that had younger teammates and that kind of thing, and they brought them along, they mentored them, they tutored them, and you know what? That's good for the whole team. And let me tell you something, things on a positive light for the JCR team right now.
Less than a minute, we expect to see our leaders checking in at the finish line. And we saw the 3:14 going by there a few moments ago. Grant Baylor, here comes, that was 5th place. There is Jordy Ashburn, your 6th place rider in the XC1 Pro class. 7-lap race from what we gather here now. They will be getting the 2-lap board. There is Caleb at the finish line now. And again, the key to this race, as we have pointed out in any GNCC race, the 3-hour race, is fitness. Again, it is super critical for the part of Caleb Russell, and I want to point out a couple of things right here. We race for 3 hours, and as close to 3 hours as possible, whether it's 6 laps, 5 laps, or 7 laps. The one thing that we got to point out, there's Josh Strang making his way in now, the new number 2 ride, and we'll see how far behind he is and look at those lap times. 26 seconds behind. He turned an 8-second faster lap than Caleb Russell that time.
Let me tell you something. It's not easy to pick up 8 seconds. I don't care, in 10 miles, 11 miles, 8 seconds is a huge amount of time.
It most definitely is. But we were talking about the conditioning there in the last hours and so forth. But, you know, again, it does come all down to that. I mean, we can harp on that all we want. But, I think that especially as far as the leader is concerned, Caleb Russell this week is at a much bigger advantage with the suspension and everything, the bike set up the way that he and his mechanic had a chance to do that.
That's Jesse Ansley making his way off of the course right now. I talked to his grandpa just a minute ago.
Yeah.
And had a little altercation on the course there, and I'm hoping that's not a busted collarbone I'm looking at right there.
Oh, no, that is not a good thing right there, not at all. Jesse, our national champion last year in the youth division. We also got to see a lot of his talent in the videography field, as we also used some of his footage from for RacerTV.
That kid's amazing, man. Some of the videography he does.
Caleb Russell rolling through the pits. Just look how smooth and calculated and easy going things are right now for this rider. Just amazing. Nothing pushing, and no reason to push at this moment. He does have a 26-second lead over Josh Strang. We'll let you know, though, if that is still the same thing. Look at the intensity at which the 114 is riding at now, though. It seems to be a little more fevered than what we saw out of the number 1.
Yeah, it's a
now
situation.
it's down to 24 seconds.
There you go. It's a situation when your team lets you know that you shaved off 8 seconds a lap and that type of thing, where all that's going to do is give you double motivation, make you twice as hungry, and, you know, bump that energy level up just a bit, man. Get that adrenaline flowing, and you can see that happening here today.
It is certainly happening right before our very eyes, watching and witnessing GNCC history, I believe, once again, and just another amazing day today. Looking back, listen to the way things are breaking down now as we go through the top 5. If you recall back to lap 1, Caleb Russell leading Josh Strang. Chris Bach is 3rd, Ryan Sipes in 4th, Grant Baylor in 5th.
Wow.
That's a big difference. You had Charlie Mullins, Caleb Russell.
Lane Michael.
Lane Michael was 3rd overall at the end of that first lap. And that goes to show you, I mean, and, you know, a lot of changes over the course of time, and you can't necessarily gauge what's going to happen in that first 30 minutes over the course of those 3 hours that we're racing out there. Sometimes it comes to pass the way you see it, but rarely does it. And what we're witnessing here today, again, is another amazing and phenomenal feat that these riders have been able to pull from within themselves and do what some folks may at times consider impossible. And Ryan Sipes in the pits. He's getting some new goggles, getting a little drink of water and some fuel there, of course. A routine pit stop for Ryan Sipes as he makes his way out of the pits now, still in the number 4 position behind the number 4 of Chris Bach. That's 3rd. Josh Strang in 2nd. Caleb Russell, your leader. Trevor Bollinger now, as he checks in at the finish line, has moved back to a top 5 overall as he is now 5th place aboard the number 10 machine. Grant Baylor is 6th overall in 5th in class. Lane Michael now 23 seconds back is 7th. Caleb Russell at the 2-mile marker now, and we got a clock rolling. We'll let you know exactly what the gap between he and Josh Strang was. It was 26. At the finish, at the pits, it was down to 24. And here comes Josh Strang now down the hill, I believe.
It was 05 at the tree there, Rodney. So we're at 25, that's 20 seconds. We're at 30.
Wow, so he lost a little time.
Yeah, it was 25 seconds was the gap.
Okay, 25 seconds. So the 2 seconds he gained, he lost 3 in the process. So he's still right there about where he was. And, you know, Josh, that might be a slow part of the track for him, and he might have a faster part coming up. And or it could have been lap traffic. A number of variables out there, but nonetheless, the gap is remaining the same at the moment now, about that 26-second mark or so. Russell, or actually now on the 30, but Russell, Strang, Bach, Sipes, Bollinger on time adjustment in 5th. And that's going to be one rider we're going to be keeping a very close eye on as the day progresses. Johnny, I know you had a chance to step away for a little bit and check some things out. While you were checking it out real quick, Braxton McGee still holding on to 22nd overall, your top amateur out there from the 4-stroke A lights class. But Johnny had a chance to step out, and I know that Bollinger going through the pits right now. Oftentimes you have a chance to talk to people, check a few scenarios and situations out. What did you feel? What was the atmosphere out in the pits there just a few moments ago?
Well, I think the thing that everybody's watching the pits is Josh Strang right now. You know, he was about 45 seconds back, and now he's definitely closed up that gap on Caleb Russell. He was able to get around Chris Bach. You know, Chris was running strong, was battling with Caleb early, and then once he got past and dropped that 10 seconds or so, you can see he's just kind of slowly faded back a little bit, perhaps still feeling the effects of you know, that crash in Florida, or more likely than not, the time that he had to take off to, you know, get himself where he needed to be is now coming back to bite him a little bit, but still running strong in a podium position with Ryan Sipes in 4th. Lane Michael, we see there coming through the BP Fuels Pro row, 2nd place in that XC2 class, and I believe still running 3rd in the XC2 class is Craig DeLong. So a solid ride put in by the number 11 Coastal Machine today. He was on the podium in Florida. Good solid run for him. Looks like, as we watched there, looks like it was about a minute back from Ryan Sipes behind Chris Bach, so he was a minute 19 at the scoring tent, and it's now down to about a minute. So it looks like Ryan Sipes is on the charge, possibly reeling in Chris Bach. And he also did pit this lap, and Chris Bach did not. So be interesting to see how that all pans out as it comes together here.
Well, lap times again, just to give you an idea of how these riders are riding after 5 laps. Caleb Russell at 25:36. That's pretty much consistent with what I think we saw the lap before, right on target there. Josh Strang, a 25:28, so he was a little bit closer. 25:58 for Chris Bach, a 26:16 for Ryan Sipes, a 26:39 for Grant Baylor. And there's something not typical. And, you know, for Grant Baylor, he comes out, he's won the opening rounds, the first 2 rounds of the National Enduro. And he has seen nothing but pure struggle, it appears, here in GNCC. Not that he's had what I would call lackluster performances, but subpar for what Grant Baylor was expecting and hoping for.
Yeah, I would agree, Rodney. And, you know, I think there's a couple of factors that come into play there. Grant Baylor had a wrist injury prior to the first round of GNCC. I don't know all the details, but I do know it's something that, you know, he had mentioned a couple times in testing and also preparation that he was feeling his wrist a little bit. With the National Enduros, they don't get rough. It's single track. It's smoother trail. It's more about picking lines and running over trees. And there's the leader in our XC2 class, the 2-mile marker, Trevor Mullinger, as he disappears at the top of the hill there, 2 hours, 16 minutes, 20 seconds. So as we wait and we watch for the second place ride of Jason Wygant, if you want to swing back in here, Rodney Tomlin's motioning for you. But you know, as we sit and we wait for the second place ride of Lane Michael to come by, you know, Grant, I think that wrist injury is really paying up, costing him more here at GNCCs than it does at the Enduros. So I think he's feeling the effects of that wrist injury. I don't know how much it's still bothering. He's certainly riding much better today than he did in Georgia. He's up in there quite a bit further. As we see, there is Lane Michael. Oh, Lane having some troubles, lose a couple seconds there. And unfortunately, I forgot what our time was on
well,
Trevor Bollinger.
You were talking there about Grant Baylor and a wrist injury and everything. The one thing that, you know, kind of seems to slip our minds sometimes is his big brother, Stu Baylor, and the wrist injury that he had, and the fight back that he's had to get back to where he was. And, you know, in Georgia, we really saw an amazing feat out of that rider. Right now, Stu Baylor runs in the number 9 spot. And though it's 9th place, and he would rather be closer to a top 5 at this particular point in the race, I think all things considered, we're seeing things kind of on an upswing, at least for the 514 of Stu Baylor, and we had a chance to talk to him about that.
You know, it definitely gave me a little bit of hope as far as the GNCCs. As far as I was concerned, you know, the GNCCs was the next thing that I was going to have to give up, just with the wrist injury that happened in 2012. You know, every time I finished a race, it was, you know, I was doing more damage than good. You know, I could run strong, I could run up front if I wanted to, but you know, if I exerted that much energy that early on or whenever it was, I was going to have wrist issues, and I knew it was going to come back to haunt me later in the week. So I finally strengthened everything up to the point that where I don't have to ride 100%. I can ride easy and still go fast, and you know, that's really what I've been working towards. And you know, there will be tracks that really benefit it and tracks that don't, but you know, the last half of last season, I started changing my training regimen and, you know, making a little bit more progression as the season wore on. Trying to figure out how to work with this wrist. You know, last year being the first healthy year, so you know, with 4 years off the podium and out of contention, you know, it's definitely tough to keep yourself going. And you know, my focus was the Enduros, but now I'm sitting pretty close to the top 3 in points, and you know, it definitely be killer to have have that as well as the National Enduro top 3. At the end of the season, that's definitely a goal of mine, just to stay in the top 3, stay consistent all year, and with a new team and a mechanic for the first time in a couple years, I think I've got everything set up to where I can put myself up there in that position.
Well, Stu Baylor mentioned confidence, and Johnny, I think when he made the statement, I don't have to ride 100% and still ride fast, that right there does exude a lot of confidence in your abilities, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there was another telling statement he made in that track. Stu Baylor's, or in that interview, he's no dummy, and he said there's some tracks where this new riding style and the way that I need to go to make this race last 3 hours, some tracks will be better than others. And what I can pretty well tell you, Stu Baylor would have said if he didn't want to jinx himself and didn't want to, maybe psych himself out, is Steele Creek is not a track where you're going to do okay with a wrist injury. This place is incredibly rough. It's tons of square edge. This is, arguably the roughest race of the year. So I would have to believe that, Stu probably knew coming into this race that it would be tough for him to, repeat what he did in Georgia. I'm sure he was going to try and is still continuing to try, but this is not a track that any weakness in your program is going to be, blaringly clear. And I'm not saying that Stu Baylor has a weakness, but that wrist is something that he's trying to constantly adapt and kind of improve upon all the time since having the surgeries and all the issues starting in 2012. Again, Charlie Mullins, same situation, similar situation with the the recovery he's been working on, and obviously we saw he's able to go fast, but to be able to do it on a course this punishing and conditions this rough, it just didn't have 3 hours in it. So Stu Baylor's still out there running in the 9th place position in XC1, and I'm sure inside the top 20 overall. I don't know exactly where, but he'll salvage some points today. And South Carolina is his home. We'll be there in 2 weeks, 2 weekends in a row, or 2 race weekends in a row. Twice next month we'll be in South Carolina, so I'm sure we'll see some great rides out of Stu there. But, today certainly not the day he's looking for, but still out there plugging away, getting some good points.
South Carolina always seems to inspire the Baylor boys quite a bit. We might see some turnarounds by both those guys, and I know in talking with Grant earlier, there was a lot of frustration. You could see he's a little let down, but like we said, the injuries are kind of plaguing him right now as well. But nonetheless, good to see these boys trudging along, trying to make things happen while they can. And right now we're about 11 minutes in from a white flag. We're on lap number 6. Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, Chris Bach, Ryan Sipes, and Grant Baylor in the top 5. Hey, how do you hashtag GNCC Live? Well, Amsoil wants to know. Send an Instagram photo of how you watch hashtag GNCC Live for a chance to win $250 in Amsoil product. Price, our producer, telling me we're getting tons of pictures. Price, won't you throw some of them up there so we can check some of them out here?
Well, he says he's working on that now, but we've got some last-minute entries coming in. So if you're watching this, if you're at home, or if you just have your phone on you, just take a picture, let us know what it is that you're doing while you're watching GNCC Live. Make sure you put that up on Instagram. Just post it to your feed, hashtag GNCC Live, and it automatically enters you in a chance to win $250 in Amsoil products.
And the whole world gets to see how you watch GNCC racing.
Absolutely, and if you're one of the lucky ones that gets creative or just happens to be interesting, you might get to be on GNCC Live on RacerTV, and everybody at home is going to get to see how you do it.
It's it. That is absolutely it. And Instagram, folks, Instagram. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. I think people are really going to get creative as the year goes on.
Rodney, once it's out there on the interwebs, it's there forever, so you can be Insta-famous on Instagram. Speaking of instantaneously, Caleb Russell is leading this race, and he's got a little bit of a gap, as we last saw, 25 seconds. And so we've got, looks like we'll be waiting on Josh Strang, our second-place rider. Last we saw was 25 seconds, so we'll wait and see what that is, and we'll let you guys know as soon as we tally it up. Looks like that is Josh Strang. Nope, that is not Josh Strang. Nope. There is Josh Strang, and
wow,
you can tell he's really charging hard there.
Yeah, I haven't seen Josh push like that in quite some time, to be honest.
A little bit of head shake, a little bit of He's actually making an adjustment to the levers there. We see Caleb going away in the background and Josh heading out. So we're going to take a wild guess and say that's still somewhere in the neighborhood of that 25-second mark. It's definitely around there, right? We didn't get a chance to get an exact time.
25, we'll say 25, 30 seconds, but regardless, Josh is pushing hard right now, as we can see, so he's riding aggressively here late in the race to try and catch up to Caleb Russell, which he doesn't want to give Caleb any ounce of pleasures at all. He chased him down in Georgia, was able to beat him. If he's able to do it 2 races in a row, and he's got a little more than a lap to get it done in, I mean, we're due in for a white flag in 8 minutes.
Yep.
So a little more than a lap to go.
He's got a lap and 8 minutes to get the job done, but he's got quite a bit of ground to make up. We see Caleb there taking off. Unfortunately, we don't have a clock, and I don't have my stopwatch on me. So again, we're caught off guard. There we see Chris Bach going by on our left split screen. And last we had seen, it looked possibly like Ryan Sipes was making up a little bit of ground on Chris Bach. So we'll have to wait and see as we check in there with that battle. Chris Bach grabbing a drink from his girlfriend Danielle there, and in that corner he is we got the stopwatch going clockwatch. 2 hours 25 minutes 35 seconds in that previous corner. So we'll wait and we'll watch for Ryan Sipes, who should be the next rider we see come through, followed pretty closely by Grant Baylor. So both of these guys have real good speed and are known for their speed late. That is not Sipes. So we're still waiting for Sipes to work his way through, just to see exactly what that gap is. We believe it was down under a minute at the 2 mile marker. Here we are now at the 6, and that's not Sipes there.
Well, regardless of how far he is behind right now in the number 4 position, the one thing that we do certainly have to point out about him, this is his best race so far this season with a 5th and 7th place finish.
Sipes looks good right now. He looks like he's on the charge. Yep, there we see Bach on the box at the right, and there's Sipes on the box on the left. There's quite a bit of distance between them. I started a stopwatch in that corner. We're at a minute 10, and still no Sipes just yet. So,
well, last time now at the finish line, there was 1 minute 1 second that separated them, I believe.
And it's 1 minute 19 seconds right now, according to my stopwatch. So it looks like Bach has actually been able to stretch that gap back out just a little bit. Now we should see Grant Baylor should be the next rider we see. Oh, and there he is, right on time. The number 314 machine of Grant Baylor, that Ampro Yamaha. He is currently rounding out the top 5 and riding very well, charging here late. He's really going to need to get on it, though, if he wants to run down Sipes and possibly have a chance at going for a podium if he can run down Bach. But
right.
he's probably close to 2 minutes behind Chris Bach now at this point.
You said, I said 101. I'm sorry, that was actually how far Grant Baylor is behind Sipes. Sipes is actually 1 minute 19 seconds flat behind Chris Bach there. I looked at the wrong time.
That's exactly what it was in the field also, so they've kind of stabilized that gap. I'd seen Chris look like he was maybe losing a little bit of ground, so I thought maybe we would see things a little bit closer than what they were. There is Sipes on the right. That is Jordan Ashburn on the screen on the left, I believe, in the smaller screen. So he would be the 6th place rider, and he checked through. Yep, that was Ashburn there in 6th. So we should be seeing Grant Baylor next to come by on our right-hand screen. Again, Grant's known for his late race charges. Rodney, is that Trevor Bollinger on the left screen there? It is. I see some local North Carolina fans screaming and cheering. Trevor Bollinger winding out that JCR 250F and trying to stretch out that lead over Lane Michael, which if we refresh our screen here, we can see exactly what the gap was at the finish line. And there goes Baylor on the right-hand side. Bollinger coming back now. We're back to the main screen. Bollinger, you can see that the hair flopping in the wind there, Rodney. He's really letting that hair grow. He's showing off his style and doing it in style today here in Morgantown, North Carolina at the Steele Creek GNCC, leading the way in that XC2 class. Looking to make it a 3-for-3 sweep in the first 3 rounds of GNCC racing action, and really honestly, a whole new rider here in 2016 is Trevor Bollinger.
23 seconds, 33.6 seconds is how far back Lane Michael was there at the finish line. almost a whole lap ago. We are some 4 minutes away right now, 3 minutes and 40 seconds or so away from seeing our leaders at the finish line as Caleb Russell crosses the footbridge out near the 10-mile marker now.
And I went ahead and started my stopwatch that time. So we've got Caleb there. We'll wait and see what the gap is back to Josh Strang. We'll be looking for that inverted number plate, the white background with the red numbers. There he is, Josh Strang. Now I started the watch for Caleb as he left the bridge and made that left around the tree. We're at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 seconds is the gap back to Josh Strang. So it looks like it's kind of stabilized there between the 20 to 25 second range. You know, one thing, Rodney, that I want to point out after being out there racing yesterday, after watching that morning race with the lappers, I got to tell you, you know, we talk about lappers so much, and I'm sure some of the people at home or that aren't familiar with GNCC racing say, well, how do lappers really factor in? Well, let me explain something to you. Everybody has to pass the same lappers. Lapped riders are a part of GNCC racing. Kind of where the luck of it, I guess, if you will, comes into play. When you get a distance more of 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds apart from each other, that can change the section or the type of the terrain where you catch those lappers. So since everyone's moving, I'm going to try and simplify this as much as possible. Caleb Russell may potentially catch a group of lapped riders in a single track tight section, get held up, lose 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds in a single section. Josh Strang has to pass those same lappers, but because he's 20 seconds further back, he may catch them just a quarter mile further down the trail, which might be a wide open field, and blow right past them like they're not even there. So it's not so much just how you pass the lappers, but what point of the track you catch them on, and that factors more into how it affects your race day, even so than how many lappers there are out of the track.
Pretty amazing. That is, there is a lot of people out there today, and they do pose a lot of obstacles. I'm doing a little bit of reading right here in history. I didn't realize this was the 20th running of the FMS Steele Creek GNCC. Next year we'll celebrate 20 actual years here in 2017, but pretty amazing, or no, 10 years, I guess.
No, 20.
No, 20, yeah,
We
97. I said 2007. 97.
Yep, 1997 was the first year here, and we actually parked in what is now the campground. That's where the pro pits were. Was there for quite a few years, actually.
First year I came here in 02. That's where we were, and it wasn't until I think 03 we came across the bridge for the very first time.
Yeah, well, there was no bridge.
True.
That explains why we didn't come over here. None of us have hoverboards and or boats to get across the creek, so everything was on the other side. Really shows just how much GNCC racing has grown in the last 20 years.
And how much this event has grown.
Oh, this event is huge. You know, the spectators here, it's just great. Hey, speaking of locals, we've got the Robinson clan here with us this weekend, and you know, those people are a huge part of GNCC racing for many years, and they're out there checking out the action.
Well, it's about that time. Normally, I just seen Jimmy Robinson, Jesse Robinson's dad, go by. It was who we're talking about, obviously. About this time in the race, always in years past, I'd always come up and they set a sun drop right there on the table for me to help charge me up and get me through the rest of the race. So it's hard to believe you miss little things like that. And when I seen him, I instantly got thirsty.
Hey, everybody needs a little sun drop sometimes.
No doubt. And right, Caleb Russell at the finish line. Now we have 6 laps complete, and the white flag is out. A 25:36 lap time last time around after 6 laps complete for Caleb Russell, a 25:42. He drops about 6 seconds on that lap. We get an official time now on the separation between Caleb Russell and Josh Strang, as Strang still working his way into the finish line region here. We see there a shot coming behind him, the Maxxis Victory Lane, where he hopes to be heading to here in a few moments. Josh Strang is certainly showing a lot of effort in trying to push that machine forward. The gap from 26 seconds at the end of lap number 2 now down to 37. We've seen it 30, we've seen it 24, we've seen it 25, now 37 seconds. And Josh is still continuing to push, it looks like. But lap times, well, 25:54 for him that time around. Russell at 25:42. The one thing, again, Megawatt Matt Watson, is you join us here in the booth. to point out, a lot of lap traffic on this lap. That could account for Caleb Russell's slower lap time. And obviously, I think it can and does the same thing for Josh Strang back in that number 2 spot.
Rodney, I definitely observed the same thing this morning in the youth races, in the 10 o'clock in the AM race. As we went on, naturally the lap times did get a little longer instead of dropping because there is a lot of traffic out there right now. What we've done over the last couple of days is there's good passing lines out there and stuff, but we've eliminated those because of the slop and that kind of stuff. So what we've done right now is we've increased these lap times because of the traffic and the time it takes to get through.
Man, I was just talking about that, and I know there's no way. You didn't hear what I said, did you? Uh-oh, Caleb's slowing down in the pits. He's going to get some gas. Nothing bad there, so everything seems good. A quick drink of water. But Jimmy must have been on his way to get my sun drop when I seen him because he just brought it to me, man. Whoa, what just? Uh-oh. Something problem. This doesn't look so good at all. Oh, it was just a fuel cap, so not a big deal. But a few seconds held up there by Caleb Russell. What happened right there, man?
Let me tell you something. That's one of those things you were talking about, man. Right there come another rider. As soon as he's pulling out of the pits, let me tell you, that could have been catastrophic, man.
Pit stop for Josh Strang as well as he rolls in now, throws the goggles. He looks mad.
Yeah, he does.
He looks mad about something, and you know what I think it is? Lap traffic.
Yep.
I think he is.
You can bet on that.
He is mad about lap traffic, shaking his head. And they're both of them are doing adjustments to their handlebars coming through the pits too, man. He's 45 seconds now behind. That is another 12 seconds. Caleb lost at least 10 seconds there fiddling with what he had on. So that means that Josh, somewhere between the last shot, lost another 15 or 20 seconds. Actually, more than that, because Caleb actually slowed down for 10 seconds or so. So
add the other 12 plus the original 37. So there you go,
wow.
man.
So yeah, exactly. So
wow.
Josh,
see how fast it adds up.
It does, but
quick.
it's only 45 seconds, and to the grace of saving grace of Josh Strang, that 45 seconds, especially on the last lap, is a long road to hoe when you're racing against Caleb Russell, but it's not impossible. And again, you know, is something happening to Josh? I don't know whether it was with a lapper or not, but we've already seen Caleb working through the lappers. What if he gets tangled with the lapper? We've seen it just happen and coming out of the pits there just a moment. That could have been even worse than what it was.
Oh, that could have been catastrophic, Rodney. No two ways about it. Clipped bars, both riders down, possible injury, possible bike problems. But what the problem is now, as Caleb is working through some of this traffic, a lot of them are unaware that it's Caleb.
Right.
So once he gets by, they start looking over their shoulder for the next guy, and it might be a little easier for Josh and the riders behind him.
That's the theory.
Because a lot of times, the guy getting past doesn't realize it's the leader. Then he becomes aware of the situation.
Oftentimes that's the theory, but I'm beginning to wonder with watching the way that this one is unfolding today and the way the lap traffic doesn't appear to be moving out of the way for Josh Strang. Well, here's the thing we got to realize here at Steele Creek, too. This is a little tighter track. It's a little more one line, less passing opportunities. So that is a good thing. That is the thing to, I guess, throw into that factor you're talking about.
More than one pro quad rider came off of the track yesterday frustrated by lappers and the inability to really get around them and it groups.
Russell out. She's struggling. What's going on with Russell there? I can't think that it was anything to do with that little incident in that, but Josh Strang should be checking in here within 45 seconds unless he's experienced more problems. But I do know that our RacerTV staff did have a chance to catch up with Caleb, and you know that's been a big question for a lot of folks. Here comes Strang down the hill right now in that number 2 spot, and we'll see if we can't get a time on that one for you. And not going to be able to, our spotter, but he seemed to smooth things out and a lot smoother than Caleb Russell. But as I was saying about Caleb Russell there, and you know, wondering about with being off the bike so long late last season and through the winter and the surgeries and things like that, what exactly is his fitness like? And the RacerTV crew caught up with him.
Yeah, you know, luckily, you know, it's been really good, especially as early as I started riding back on it. I haven't had any complications with it. I've, right when a couple times when I first started riding, it was still really weak, and I scared myself a couple of times with it. But as far as racing goes, the first 2 rounds were okay on it. A little bit sore, but I'm not even to 6 months post-surgery yet, so I'm pretty happy with the progress and where I've got myself to with it. These races are definitely tough. 3 hours is a long time on any sort of bicycle, dirt bike, whatever it may be, but you got to have the racing strategy. You got to be smart on the bike, make good decisions, and you got to be physically fit. And I feel like I'm really fit this year, and obviously that shined in Florida, but not so much in Georgia. But yeah, it's grueling out there for sure. I mean, it's a total body workout and then some. I mean, it's not like you're just going to hop on and just go cruise around. Like, it takes a lot of energy out of you to perform at a very high level for a long period of time and to be able to sustain it.
Absolutely right, and with that mindset right there, he's got to work from behind the 8 ball on a physical fitness level. Josh Strang, after 2 wins, he kind of might be behind a little bit of an 8 ball of his own, and it's not one that is a bad 8 ball to be behind, because we all want to be in the position he is. But what about the pressure? And you got to think about that coming into this round right now, Megawatt. And we had a chance to catch up with him as well.
Personally, I put a little more pressure on myself. I mean, I want to keep winning and doing well, but I think the mindset stays the same each race. I want to race my own race and do the best I can. I think at the moment it's winning, so it makes it a lot easier. Winning the first 2 races was good, but there's still a long series, so we just got to keep putting in the hard work and just racing as it comes. And I do feel good. Felt good before Florida, and it ended up going well. And then Georgia was actually, I believe Georgia was tougher than Florida as far as being in shape goes. I mean, I think Florida track was rougher and a tougher track to ride on, but Georgia, the speed was a lot higher and it was still rough there. And racing with Caleb there for the whole race was more intense than what it was in Florida. So yeah, the Georgia race was interesting, but I feel good. This place has always been pretty good to me, so close to home, and it should be good.
Well, there you go, hometown race for him. Pressure, I think, coming in. Yeah, it's going to be hard not to put pressure on yourself, especially whenever you come into a track that you always do well at, because the North Carolina fans love you so much, and you ultimately want to not perform well for yourself, but also for those folks as well. And speaking of which, we also got a chance to talk to Josh about the hometown.
Ever since 2007, I've always seemed to do all right here, and always enjoyed coming here. And I think I lived in Hickory, so just 40 minutes away when I first moved here. So it's kind of been a hometown race for me ever since I've moved here. So maybe that helps. You don't have to drive very far from your house, and you got people that come to check out the race and that sort of stuff. And then the area is just a cool area. I mean, just the hills and everything like that is just it's good fun. So it's just a nice place to come and race.
Most definitely a nice place to race, especially if you got the folks from around the area on your side. And we got Johnny Gallagher running in. What's
Rodney,
going on, buddy?
Sorry to break in here, but I just saw Jordan Ashburn come backwards down the outside of the pro pits. His tire off of the rim completely. He's in the pits. If we can get an update down there, looks like they're going to have to do a wheel swap. So tough day for Jordan. He was having a good ride going.
Yeah, he was. Jordan Ashburn was running in a 6th place position. What's going on? Well, Bollinger just went through, and his pit crew just took off at a sprint pace. I don't know whether they're running to the finish line or something happened up on the trail with Bollinger, but we're going to have to maybe try to get the track crew out there to tell us what's going on. But, man, that could be some bad news, Johnny Gallagher, if that sprint was for something that went wrong.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to pick up and see what's going on in the woods there. We can't really clearly see. As we wait and we watch, it was 1 minute and 21 seconds in the pro pit from Trevor Bollinger back to Lane Michael. So he's got a little bit of time to play with if it was just a flop over or maybe a running with the lapper. But if it's a bike issue or something more serious, this could obviously seriously affect the outcome of this race.
Well, here come the JCR guys back. That's a good sign.
Yep, and they don't appear to be in a hurry anymore. So whatever it was, they got it righted and on his way. And like I said, it looks like with a 1:20 lead, looks like he's probably still got some time to work with, as long as it's not an ongoing issue. Now there is Lane Michael, your second place rider in XC2. So he was about a 1:20 back before whatever issue Bollinger may have had. Lane Michael through that section and back on the gas here on this final lap of racing action.
Wow, you just wonder. We sat here, we see that. We don't know what happened around the corner. We see these guys coming back, but here's Bollinger coming around. They give him the pit board. Bollinger's going. Everything seems to be okay right there. Now watch, something happened right there. He takes off. The guy on the bar, back up. I want people to see exactly how that all went, but look how, I mean, he is going with a purpose. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, he's standing there, he's watching, and then all of a sudden he just jumps down and takes off running there. So that obviously, something happened around that turn. They must have got it rectified because they walked back kind of casually and leisurely, but will that signal maybe a problem for Bollinger in these final moments of the race, and will that allow Lane Michael to close that gap?
Yeah, certainly. You know, with any sense of urgency like that, you have to assume it was a problem. Now, whether it was, there's an interesting place to come from. But you have to assume that, it was something that they got rectified judging by their mannerisms. But we might be able to check in with those guys and get a little bit more of an update on exactly what it was that happened. But again, unfortunately, looks like Jordan Ashburn is really going to lose some time there in the pits, having to change that rear wheel and, potentially get back out there and try and battle his way back up inside the top 10. But I don't know if that would be possible with only one lap of racing remaining.
Well, no, Megawatt Matt Watson went down to the JCR Honda pits. He's going to try to get a word in and see what's going on, at least ask the guys down there to see what happened, if they know anything that's what's going on. But again, it seemed to be a momentary thing, and whatever the issue was apparently must have been rectified, whether he went down or whatever the case may be. But the guys came back, and we didn't see any real problems ourselves. So anyway, we'll wait with bated breath like we will on the number 1 of Caleb Russell, the Boonville, North Carolina native now. Well, he's not so much a native, but that he's a resident now.
Hey, Rodney.
Look at this dust.
We got go ahead, Megawatt.
Hey, Rodney, we're down here with Eric in the Johnny Campbell Racing pits. We saw the team take off running after Trevor just a few minutes ago. Exactly what happened, Eric?
Trevor got a little squirrely, hit a tree, went down. He lost about 20 seconds, but we still had we had a 1:20 after the incident. Now we have like a minute, so we just need to calm him down, bring him home, and I think we'll be just fine.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Eric. Appreciate it. There you have it, Rodney.
All right. Got tangled up with the tree, went down, lost about 20 seconds, and back up and rolling. So sounds like just got to keep him focused at this point now. Keep him calm.
Trevor Bollinger's really going fast right now. So little mistakes like that are going to happen. The fact that he can manage it, as long as he can reset it and say, okay, I had a 1:20, now I got a minute. Whether I win this thing by a minute or a second, they don't pay bonus points. I think the best thing that I've heard Trevor say is, even in Georgia, he really wasn't going for that third overall. It just kind of happened. So he's really racing for XC2 wins, and if he keeps that mindset, that really makes him dangerous in that XC2 class, because you got to believe that with the abilities that he has, the new program that he has around him, and the mindset that he seems to have because of it, he's strong right now. He's very strong.
Most certainly, and strong you need to be, especially at this juncture in the race. 2 hours, 48 minutes. Leaders due in about 11 minutes. That's going to put us about as close to a 3-hour race as we're going to be able to get today. That's going to be probably in the 258, 259 range, but regardless, wow, what a rather eventful 3 hours of racing. Let's look back on it right now. Go back to the very start of this one, Johnny. Hot Rod Charlie Mullins, the excitement in the air with his return here, kind of to a hometown race for him as he hails from just up the road in Hickory. The crowd was going wild. He grabs the hole shot, $250. He has a monstrous lead at the end of that first lap, some 30 seconds or so over the rest of the field. And then basically we saw him begin to fade back just a little bit. Here comes Caleb Russell. He's the one that caught up with him and was able to pass him. And then little things happened here and there. Mullins hit a square edge bump, hurt his wrist. Well, didn't hurt it, but aggravated it, so he went ahead and decided to set out the rest of the day, rightfully so. I totally understand that. And hopefully he'll come back stronger and even as fast or faster than he was when we saw him riding that first hour today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, with Mullins, that pace he was setting early was very torrid. Couldn't believe how fast he was going. Just shows the kind of speed he has. Caleb Russell obviously set sail, took off after him, and since then it's pretty much, well, actually Chris Bach ran him down and took the lead for a while, and is still hanging tight there in third, but Caleb Russell's really kind of flexed his muscles since then, opened up a bit of a lead on Josh Strang. Strang put in a good charge there, looked like he might be able to close the gap. As we see, we wait and we watch for Strang here at the 6 mile marker. I don't think we've seen him come by just yet. So he's really opened up that gap past Caleb Russell. There is Strang. He's coming around that S turn. He'll be the next bike you see come around, make that right-hand turn. There he is, the number 114 machine at Josh Strang. That gap has opened up quite a bit.
You know, something else that I think that we got to look at, where was Josh Strang on that first lap?
He was right up in there.
Was he right up in there with him?
He was actually ahead of Caleb at one point. Caleb passed him. Strang was second. He was the one that was right behind Mullins, but Mullins was leading.
Okay, so, wow, that has been a rather, he's dropped back and then had to find his way back up. So, wow, a lot of positives I think he can take from that if you look at the big picture. So, though it may be a frustrating day, a second place is certainly a strong ride and well keeping him within contention for that championship title, no doubt about that. But 1 minute gap now between first and second place Caleb Russell and Josh Strang, and I don't know, but if I was him, I would settle into that pace and just hang on to it and say, okay, got to win a championship. I've won it before. I know how to do it, and if a second is one of my worst days, then I'll live with that. And that's one that you can live with, and that's one that you can win a championship with as well. And back again, still in the number 3 spot is Chris Bach, a little over a minute and a half or so now. Back to Ryan Sipes. Grant Baylor is a minute plus behind Ryan Sipes, and things are really stretched out. The interesting thing, I'm going to look at elapsed times right here, right now. Last time they came through, Trevor Bollinger, elapsed time was 2 hours. Ooh, this is, you know, I'm going to start looking at 2 hours, 36 minutes, 13 seconds. Baylor was 2 hours, 36 minutes, 39 seconds. He was 10 seconds ahead of Bollinger on adjusted time. No, wait a minute, that was 13, that was 7 seconds. I'm sorry, 2 hours, 36 minutes, and 7 seconds. Then we had 2 hours, 35 minutes, 22 seconds to Ryan Sipes. So if Bollinger has picked up his pace any, which it kind of look like it has, he might be making a threat for a solid top 5 position. To say that he would be pushing for a top 3 overall for a second consecutive race, a lot is going to hinge on just exactly how much relaxed mode Chris Bach goes into. So it could end up being a battle between the two teammates for the final podium position on adjusted time if things go well for Trevor Bollinger and if Chris Bach slows down very much out there.
What was the gap between?
On adjusted time, overall adjusted time, we were looking at only about 6 seconds to Grant Baylor overall, and then Ryan Sipes. I mean, we're looking at, I didn't realize, but I guess that's a minute, 2 hours. I was looking at the wrong times, 2 hours and 34 minutes. That's a 2 minute gap.
Yeah, the Bach has about a minute and a half on Sipes now, it looks like.
So, okay. So I think Bach is probably comfortable, but we are looking at Bollinger looking at a solid top 5 overall ride. That's impressive to do that consistently week after week like that.
Absolutely, to back up an overall podium with an overall top 5. I mean, that's definitely making a statement for that young man for sure, and pretty impressive stuff to see that happen over and over again 2 weekends in a row. There we see Grant Baylor. Looks like he's making a pass on one of our Open A riders. Looks like to be Dual Murphy. as he goes a lap down there in that open A class. But Grant Baylor really hard on the charge. Not exactly sure. It looks like he was about 40. Whoop, lost it there. Looks like he was about 45 seconds behind Ryan Sipes. So we'll have to see if he can do anything with that. Possibly. We know Grant has really good speed late in these races. He's got great reserves, manages his energy levels well, and can really push late in these 3-hour races. In this race, like you pointed out, going to go the duration, going to be a full 3 hours or very close to it. So that's one of those races where Grant Baylor really benefits later in the race.
Braxton McGee, still your top amateur, the number 33 four-stroke A lights rider out of Bullville, North Carolina, not too far really from where we sit right now. He could be looking at his first top amateur overall honors today, Johnny, and if I'm not mistaken, would that be Braxton's first time up?
If I'm not mistaken, that would be his first ever overall amateur, at least since I've been involved with it.
Right.
I believe he was on minis before that, so
yeah.
I could be wrong, we could be wrong, but we believe that would be his first win or overall amateur finish, which is quite a prestigious award and you know, quite an accomplishment for a young man such as himself. Just I believe just 2 years off the amateur ranks, and here they are, 10-mile marker, Rodney. It goes quick. They're working their way to the finish, and he's still got that comfortable gap on Strang. Looks like there's quite a few lappers, so that could certainly play in at this point. So definitely doesn't want to let his guard down, but looks like he's well on his way to his first win of 2016, and you know, kind of redeeming himself after, which by Caleb Russell standards would be lackluster performances in Florida and Georgia with a third and a second. And you know, it was pointed out earlier, I believe Jason Wygant said, you know, he's very hard on himself when he doesn't win, so maybe he'll give himself an easy 2 weeks if he's able to put the finishing touches on this one.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I think it's just adding fuel to the fire. He gets that winning way back under his belt. He knows Josh is going to be working hard to try to come back and face off with him in South Carolina coming up here in just 2 weeks. So Russell is through. Strang is now making his way through as he now makes his way across the land bridge. So still right at a minute difference, 59 minutes or 59 seconds, 60 seconds, right in that neighborhood. The gap between Russell and Strang, very commendable, and I think that Josh is doing just. I think he's thought exactly the way I'm looking at it, looking at the long haul at this particular point. Got to hold on to that points lead. He'll be able to do that. I think still with this finish again, he's got what do you have, like 14 points coming into this round over Josh Strang or over Caleb Russell. So Russell will actually gain 5 points on him today, and that'll bring it down to a 9-point gap.
Yep, he basically the same gap they had when they left Florida.
Yep.
Would have been 9 points leaving Florida. Josh stretched it out to 14 in Georgia, and now to be back to 9. So it'll be interesting to see if that yo-yo effect continues throughout the year, see if those two can continue to win the majority of the races and keep it tight between them, or are we going to see some other riders mix it up in there and grab a win as well? Perhaps this guy right here, Chris Bach, the number 3 JCR Honda, put in an excellent ride today after nearly having that podium in Florida, was second all the way to the final miles, and or the final less than, no, that was the lap rider, that was Jerry Robin.
Oh, okay, I thought that was Baylor there for a second.
That was Jerry Robin, one of the Bonsai Morgantown Power Sports Fly Racing WPS team, you know, trying his hand at GNCC Racing. Was supposed to start the season with us in Florida. They had to have a fill-in rider. He's had some issues with keeping that bike upright. GNCC Racing is a little bit different. Actually, on the first lap, we got a report that just a few miles in, he was working his way past our RacerTV cameras, and there wasn't much plastic left on his bike. So we'll hope that Jerry can really get the hang of this woods racing.
Well, here's the thing. I do know, I've heard a little bit about this, talking to Kevin and the guys from over at Bonsai. Though we know Jerry Robin as a motocrosser, I guess he did grow up trail riding and riding a lot of woods, so he's not unfamiliar to this territory. So check the big screen once again. There is Ryan Sipes making his way through here at the 10-mile marker and land bridge.
And a good day for Sipes, too, you know, with with a 4th place finish today, you know, if that's how things end up for Sipes today, you know, it's certainly something he can build off of. You know, the first 2 rounds definitely did not go the way he wanted them to, and for him to get a 4th today and get some good solid points. There
Here he is.
Caleb Russell. He's going to let these guys go another lap. He doesn't want to pass them. He says, hey, you guys want to do one more? I'm just going to go ahead and, all right, I'll pass you.
No, those guys are saying, get around me, and Caleb Russell does it. Caleb Russell wins the Steele Creek GNCC, the first win of 2016, and the defending champion is back to his winning ways now here in his new home state, just down the road from Hickory, North Carolina. Their elapsed time on this race will be 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 27 seconds for Caleb Russell, just a minute and 33 seconds shy of the full 3-hour race mark there. 37 seconds behind at the end of lap 6 was Josh Strang. We calculated him at a minute, and here he rolls. He'll be rolling through here pretty soon into the number 2 position aboard that 114 machine, followed then closely by, we are still expecting, or somewhat closely, a minute or so back, by Chris Bach. Jason Wygant making his way here to the broadcast booth now. And Jason, we just witnessed it there. We're witnessing the 114 of Josh Strang rolling through in second. He will maintain a 9-point lead heading into South Carolina. He did everything that he needed to do to make things happen. You can tell that he actually, even though he didn't drop real far back, he dropped back far enough. He had his back against the wall a couple times as far as the win, and even a second place position today was concerned. So I think he can take a lot of positives away from what he may be overshadowing with one negative in the fact that he didn't come in first.
It's going to be interesting to hear, Rodney, what happened to Strang like on those first, I guess, 2.5 laps, where they got that big gap on him, and he was never able to do much with it after that. But Bach and Russell were just so far ahead already at that point. He had his work cut out for him. So it'll be interesting to see what the difference was between those two early on and what happened to Strang there early in the race.
Well, right now we wait on our 3rd place rider to check in.
I'll really be impressed if Bach holds on for this 3rd place. I talked to him right down there in the starting line, and he didn't set the expectation bar very high.
But he had a minute and 20-second gap over Ryan Sipes.
Yeah.
He was slowing down. Ryan seemed to be speeding up, so you're right, it might be. But you know, oftentimes when Chris Bach does that is usually when he has the best days.
Maybe take the pressure off.
Yeah.
It's like, I had a concussion in Florida. I didn't feel good in Georgia. I'm still not quite 100% today. Hey, man, you get on the podium at one of these things, you're darn close.
There's Bollinger at the 10-mile marker. You know, I've done that and gone into the day making excuses for Chris Bach, and then he come out and do something amazing before.
Well, I think it takes the pressure off of the guys. You know what I mean? Like, probably when he was running the lead, he was just thinking, I didn't expect to lead. This is all a bonus, as opposed to, I'm in the lead. I got to hold on. I got to try to win this one. Here's my chance. I think they take the pressure off themselves when they're sick or they're hurt coming in, and sometimes they actually ride better.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. It really, really does. And here at the finish line, I believe we should be seeing the number 4 coming in here pretty soon. Let's double check. He's in. Chris Bach is in. A minute and 7 seconds back. A minute 7 between first and second. A minute 7 between second and third. And our top 3 are Caleb Russell, the freight train Josh Strang, and Chris Bach.
It's good racing. Multiple leaders. Charlie Mullins firing a little shot early on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was talking about. I mean, what an eventful race day today. I mean, you look at the big picture. We talked a little bit about that Charlie Mullins and the amazing feat that he was able to pull. But even not only that, but I mean, some of these other riders. I mean, Trevor put on a great race. Lane Michael was able to put on another great race today. Ryan Sipes, now looking at the 264's results there from the first couple of rounds, I'm not sure that they're necessarily the most desirable results. I'm looking down. He had a 5th and a 7th. Those aren't more, I mean, a lot of people say, yeah, God would kill for a 5th or a 7th, the XC1. But we're talking about a man that won the ISDE overall, something that no American has ever done. So you kind of set the bar a little higher for him and for if you're in that position for yourself.
I think he's going to wait on Sipes a little bit. Every year he spends the offseason in Kentucky. He said this year they were just so cold, snowed in, he could barely ride. You hear a lot of these guys are just I mean, Caleb Russell now owns some land down in Florida.
Yep.
I know Strang and Milner were riding the sand tracks in South Carolina a lot through the offseason. We saw the same thing last year. About 5 races in is when Sipes all of a sudden was hanging with Caleb Russell, battling for these podiums. Never did get that win, but it might be maybe Big Buck, maybe that new run at Camp Coker. One of those races, I think you're going to see a breakthrough from him, maybe starting with a podium and maybe even leading some laps.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, Ryan's really becoming a true GNCCer, man. I mean, he hangs out here at nights and hangs out with a lot of the kids and families. I mean, he and his family stay here. We were having a pit party last night over at Stuck MX. Yep. He was signing autographs. He was so pumped up about last night's pit party. He goes, we got to do this again. I mean, he was probably more excited than Britt from Stuck MX was excited about it. He's like, I really dig this. We got to do this some more. So
I heard he might be bringing some cases of Rockstar to the next one.
Yep, they're going to bring some Rockstar to it, and they're going to do it up right. So if you're going to be at Big Buck GNCC, be sure and check out the Stuck MX pits after chapel services on Saturday night. Okay. That's we'll have a little meet and greet with some of the riders, and they were giving away free swag. We got lots of free swag. Some stuff going to be given away next time too. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really excited about what this season. Again, it's only 3 rounds in. It feels like we're so deep into the season.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, it's because it's not freezing cold right here. We got mid-season weather. This morning, though, was classic Steele Creek, though, so some things never change. All right, I'm headed to the podium. Good to work with you as always, my friend.
No doubt about it. Jason Wygant, the voice from NBC Sports and a fellow voice of GNCC Racing for many, many years. Certainly proud to work with him as we are working on wrapping this race up right now. Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, Chris Bach, Ryan Sipes is 4th. And here comes Bollinger, the number 10, the hometown boy, takes it to the top of the podium for the XC2 Pro Lights. Just 3 years ago, he was a 4-stroke A Lights rider racing his first ever GNCC. Today, he is an XC2 Pro Lights points leader and a 3-time winner here in 2016. I want to say congratulations to our Instagram winner. This is how they GNCC Live. Say congratulations to Z Burnett 94. Father-son race day. That is so cool. Look at that on the big screen. They got their helmets on. And it is a GNCC racer there on the right because he's got one of those pink stickers just like we use right here at the GNCC. So thanks to Z Burnett 94 and congratulations to you. You pick yourself up $250 in great AMSOIL product. And look, they did it at 36 minutes in. They got in early. All righty, folks. Congratulations to those folks. Thanks to AMSOIL as well, and thanks to you guys for watching. Stick around. We got podium presentations coming up right after this.
When it comes to guarding your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis Tires.
CST Tires.
I've been with Leatt for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
something to believe in.
And welcome back to GNCC Live, the FMF Steele Creek GNCC, as we wrap up our third round of the AMSOIL GNCC Series presented by Maxxis. And, you know, we've been racing here all weekend. We raced, started at 8 o'clock this morning, as a matter of fact, and we started with our youth riders and had another amazing race. Brody Johnson picking up the win. Megawatt Matt Watson caught up with him.
Hello and welcome to RacerTV. We're here with our first winner of the day at Steele Creek, Brody Johnson. You get the overall here in our youth race this morning. You got to be pumped with a win at round 3.
Yeah, it feels good. I finally put all the pieces together. I didn't finish the first 2. It feels good to get a one finished.
I tell you, Brody, I don't know if you know, amount of rain we had the last couple of days was almost brutal, and track conditions turned out almost perfect today. Tell us a little bit about the woods.
Yeah, the track was perfect. It got a little rough towards the end, but my suspension was good.
Tell us who you want to thank today, man, for making it possible.
The whole Range Riding University Off-Road Vodka the cycle team. In fact, Kinder Tires, they were hooking up good. Pro Motion suspension was awesome. Endear Engineering, Stickman Graphics, Fly Racing got me looking good. Liette and Shuey and Gardet Boots.
Hey, congratulations on a big win here today at Steele Creek, Brody.
Thanks.
Back to you guys.
All righty, congratulations. Yes, indeed, to Brody there for the win in the youth overall this morning. And it's good to be able to rebound back after a couple of not so good races like that. So good job, buddy. Hey, want to remind you folks, the USA ISDE Trophy teams announced details and location for the 3rd annual golf fundraiser at West Virginia Snowshoe Mountain. We're excited to present the 3rd annual golf tournament team fundraiser at Snowshoe Resort's Raven Golf Club on Friday, June 24th. It's a unique golf tournament that'll assist the team's efforts to represent the USA at the 2016 running of the International 6 Days Enduro, or ISDE, as we all know it by. It'll be taking place in Spain this year. The golf tournament will begin with a shotgun start at 9 a.m. on Friday morning and will run until approximately 3:30 in the afternoon. Participants will get to play 18 holes of golf on a championship caliber golf course, ranked the #2 public golf course in the state of West Virginia by Golf Week magazine. Many of the USA Trophy riders will be participating in the event, which provides a unique opportunity to spend time with some of the most talented off-road racers in the world. Each team is made up of 4 players, and space is limited, so get your team registered early, completing the online registration form. Participants are also welcome and will be assigned as a team at random. So if you're an individual, you don't have a team, we'll assign you one. The cost is $100 per person, which includes a meal at the end of the round of golf. If you want more details on that, log on to GNCCRacing.com. We got plenty of those for you there. And we've got plenty of excitement down at the podium as we head down there with Megawatt Matt Watson.
Hey, thanks a lot, Rodney. Let's hear it, Morganton. Let's hear some noise. What an amazing race we got to see. Hang on a minute. I'm going to turn this down just a bit. All right, see if that helps just a little. All right, just a little bit. Hey, give it up for our top 3 over. Caleb Russell with the win today. Got Josh Strang in 2nd place and Chris Bach over here in the 3rd place. CB4. Man, what a crazy ride out there today, man. Up and down a little bit. Conditions look really rough, look tight out there. Tell us a little bit about what it took to get up here today.
Yeah, I think this is maybe the best Steele Creek track we've had in a long time. It was a little bit faster than normal, and it definitely was rough, but the conditions were perfect. Just a little bit of tacky and a little bit of slick mud, but it was pretty good. You know, I had a decent start, got up front, battled with these guys, and just not quite feeling 100% yet. Just kind of dealing with some head issues from a crash, and pretty happy to get 3rd. You know, I didn't know if I'd get up on the box today, but I felt really good, and these guys rode awesome, so it was a good day.
Absolutely good day anytime you're on the box. Hey, man, who helped you get up here today? Who's the members of the team that got you this win or this 3rd place today?
Big thanks to Big Benny next to me. You know, we tested this week and got the bike really, really good, so I'm super happy with that. And the whole JCR Honda team, Maxxis, Lucas Oil, Fly Racing, 100% Alpine Stars Pro Circuit, Renthal, Hinton, and everybody else that makes the team work. And I don't know how Trevor did, but hopefully he's up here later too.
Well, he is, that's for sure. Congratulations on a great ride. Let's hear it again, Steele Creek, for Chris Bach. All right, over here in second place, Josh, I'm going to get you on this side so we don't have them speakers to deal with. Man, oh man, I know you were disappointed when you come off the track. You know, you're not happy unless it's a win. But tell us a little bit what led to the second place today.
Yeah, I'm definitely not happy with the win, but the second place is good. So I felt like I rode below par today, so a little bit like my golf game. But definitely not super happy with how I rode, but second place all the same. I struggled at the start, and then the lappers here are so bad. The North Carolina fans are probably some of the best I've ever seen, and but the lappers are maybe some of the worst I've ever seen also. So it was a difficult day. They got that gap, and I was just trying to get it back, but I couldn't. So we'll take it. The Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team, the bike worked great. Mick and Timmy, everyone, all the fans out there pointing lines and cheering everyone on. It's real cool.
I'll tell you what, man, spoken like a champion, that's for sure. You got that positive attitude. You know what? We go back to the drawing board and we see you in the middle next time?
No, I think we'll go back and just keep doing what we're doing. We just had a little off day today, but we'll come back a big buck and hopefully get up on the top step again.
Hey, man, anybody else we want to thank today?
X-Brand, Fly Racing, CD, 6D. The bridge over there is getting lower and lower every year, so scraped my head about 3 times this year, and I think we need to dig it out. But those guys will keep my head protected.
Come on, North Carolina. Put your hands together for this guy, Josh Strang. All right, and over here in the middle, KR1, Caleb Russell. You know, you had some issues first couple rounds, no question about it. Here you come back today, man, a convincing win, typical KR fashion, man. Caleb Russell puts his head down, pins the throttle, and pulls out enough of a gap that you felt comfortable in the last lap.
Yeah, it was a tough day to get going for sure. I choked on the start. I gave it a little too much gas, and my bike didn't fire. But I was actually snuck onto the inside a couple times and made some passes right straight away. And I think I was like 6th or 7th, and then I picked a few other guys off. And I got in a second before the end of the lap when I seen Charlie was checked out, and I was like, this is going to be interesting. It's good to see him back, and you know, he's still hasn't lost anything about sprinting on the first lap, that's for sure. But I got up with him and rode with him for a couple miles, and I put the pass on him, and then Chris caught up, and he was riding really well, and he got around me, and I just kind of bided my time and picked my way through the lappers. They were really bad on like the 3rd, 4th lap, and then I kind of fell into a groove and, you know, just rode a smooth rest of the race.
Well, I tell you what, it's an impressive ride, no doubt. Hey, I heard a rumor that you didn't ride this bike till this week. Is that true?
Well, I never ride my race bike until the race, so.
you didn't ride the 216 spec bike is what I heard.
No, we've been on this bike all year, so, you know, I got to give it up to my team. We've done some tests in the last few weeks, and got me pretty happy and feeling comfortable on the bike. And Tanner's been logging the hours, and Rookie's been slinging suspension oil. So I got to thank those guys, my whole team, Red Bull, FMF, KTM, CD, Scott Goggles, all my family for coming out, my wife, Live It Extreme, all my boys from the bike shop, and you know, just all these crazy fans. Thank you.
Right on, there you have it for your winner today, Caleb Russell. I'm going to stand back because I know how dangerous these guys are with these bottles. Time for the champagne spray.
Well, like we always like to say here at the GNCC, to the victor goes the spoils, and the spoils of GNCC, the sweet, sweet spray of champagne. And Caleb Russell and Josh Strang, Chris Bach are in celebration mode right now and throwing out the swag, and we'll be resetting the podium and bringing up our XC2 Pro Lights class. You know, we had some amazing racing today. We talked about the youth riding and racing earlier, but we also had another amazing 10 o'clock race and a great battle with the WXC class, as we have a first-time winner. Congratulations, Becca Sheets.
Hello and welcome to Racer TV. We're here with our morning overall winner, WXC rider Becca Sheets. Becca, first overall win. You got to be pumped here at Steele Creek.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It felt pretty good today.
What was the track really like out there after all this rain for 2 days? How did it turn out for this morning's race?
I think this is probably the roughest North Carolina track I've ever ridden. They did a really good job laying out the track, and it was super fast, but as soon as we hit lap 2, when we came around by the creek, we hit lappers immediately, and it was just chaos from then on out. And Casey and I went back and forth, like, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times, and we were just kind of benefiting off each other's mistakes and just pushing each other.
Well, we know you've been working so hard for this. Congratulations, and we'll see you on the podium in just a few minutes.
Yeah, thanks. Big thank you to Fly Racing, Maxxis, Yamaha, Blue Crew, ODI handlebars, all those guys, Johnny Gallagher, my boyfriend Tyler, just everybody. This is awesome.
Thank you so much. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, that's Megawatt Matt Watson from earlier this morning, and the Maxxis Victory Lane celebrations there for the WXC as we reset the podium, and our JCR Honda boys get the opportunity to ride the box a couple of times today. So congratulations to them. As we look down to the podium, we see Craig DeLong finishing up in the number 3 spot. Second place going to Lane Michael, and your XC2 Pro Lights Steele Creek champion today, the hometown boy, Trevor Bollinger.
That's what I'm talking about, North Carolina. Do it again. Let's hear it one more time. Yeah, these XC2 riders getting it done today. Over here with third place, Craig DeLong. Craig, looked like a pretty tough day in the trenches today.
Oh, yeah, it was rough for sure. It was crazy.
Tell us a little bit about what happened after the start.
I got a good start, and I started riding tight, got pumped up, and just kind of went backwards a little bit. Lost the front 2 and kind of rode by myself. So it was a good day, though. I mean, can't complain.
Never complain when you're up here on the podium, that's for sure. Hey, man, this coastal bike looked like it was working really great. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it was working good. Can't thank the guys at Factory Connection for hooking me up with some good suspension. It's probably one of the roughest tracks all year, so just it was big help.
Who else was a big help this week, man? Who helped make this possible?
I can't thank my parents enough. My mom, my dad, Andrew, Angelina, Coastal Racing, MSR, Garnet Boots, Dunlop Tires, MSR, Bell Ray, Pro Taper, FMF, anybody else, Bell Helmets, everybody else, thank you.
Great job, Craig. One more time, let's hear it for Craig DeLong, you guys. Third place today, XC2. All right, over here with Lane Michael. Lane, let's step up here away from his speaker a little bit. Man, oh man, got off to a crazy start, extremely fast start. And man, I've seen you make some races exciting before, but I want to tell you something. You guys made this one unbelievably exciting.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't get the best jump, but I ran it in pretty hot in the first turn, and ended up I came out pretty good, and then I pushed pretty hard first lap, and I tightened up a little bit, but I could push through it, and I knew Trevor would be coming. He's been riding pretty well, so I kind of settled into a pace and kept cruising, and then he ended up catching me, and then we rode together for about 2-3 laps, and then we went back and forth for a little bit, and then ended up having a little crash. He got around me, and then he actually got stuck, and then I got back around him, and then on a hill I got bottled up pretty good, and he got back around me, and then that's about the last I could put forth an effort to try to pass him. He pulled a little gap on me, and I kind of faded out a little bit, but we salvaged just another second, and there's always another race. So it was a good day, but not what I wanted, but we'll take it. It's still good points.
Absolutely, it was a great day, and I know you had a lot of people to help that make that great day possible. Who are they, bud?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely got to thank my dad for everything that he does. Jeff for helping out on this bike and getting her all tuned up. And I got to thank Coastal Racing, Husqvarna, Bell Ray, FMF, MSR, Bell Helmets, Garnet Boots, IMS, Pro Taper, and Factory Connection Suspension. And everyone else that helps out the program. I really appreciate it. We'll keep fighting.
Right on. There you go. Steele Creek, second place today. Lane Michael, XC2. And over here in the middle, one more time. Let's see that smile. Come on, man. Grin for me. That's it. TB10 with a three-peat. 3 in a row. Trevor Bullock. Bring it, bring it, bring it. All right, let's hear what the man has to say. Tell us about your race, Trevor.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, honestly. I got a decent start and ended up catching Lane on the second lap, and he was riding really good. And I knew it was going to be a long day, so I just tried to pace off him. And I never really pushed it, but it just seems like little things just kept happening, and like I get stuck or fall down and lose time, and then I have to catch back up to him. And finally I got around him on the hill, like he said, and I was trying to pull a little lead, and on the last lap, dude, I don't know what happened, but I bounced my head off the ground pretty hard, and I lost some time there. I didn't know how much, and I knew he'd be coming, so I just tried to keep pushing, and I'm thankful that I'm okay, and get ready to get healed up for the next one.
Man, tell me how amazing this has to feel. Not only starting the season with a win, starting the season with 3 wins, man, and you've got a team that's 110% behind you, man. What kind of feeling is that moving forward?
Yeah, it's great, but we still got 10 races. We've only done 3. I just got to keep my head down, and just if I'm up here on the box, I'm happy. I'm here for the championship, and to salvage my race and end up in the trees for a win, it's not worth it. I'll take second or third any day, and I'm thankful to be okay. And thanks to all the great fans out here, my whole team, Eric, Honda, Fly, 100%, Alpine Stars. Just everybody, man. There was people everywhere pushing me on that last lap, especially after I hit my head. It was really the motivation I needed, and I can't thank you guys enough.
Hey, Trevor, congratulations on win number 3. You know exactly what to do with this thing right here. Let's hear it one more time, Steele Creek.
And again, the victor gets the spoils, the sweet, sweet spray of that champagne, and man, does it taste sweet to Trevor Bollinger right now, who not only takes the win in the XC2 Pro Lights, but he also capped off another top 5 finish today, finishing 5th. Lane Michael took 6th place overall. Craig DeLong, who finished 3rd in the XC2 Pro Lights, will finish up 8th place overall. So amazing feats by all these riders, and just an amazing day of racing. And folks, I tell you, it's only round 3, and with what we've been able to see, it's been utterly amazing. And speaking of amazing, we got some great and amazing sponsors that help some of these riders out, some hole shot awards to divvy out.
All right, that's exactly right, Rodney. Craig DeLong, XC2 Bike Hole Shot Award, courtesy of Hot Cams today. An extra $100 in your pocket, man. Got a good jump, ended up on the podium today, and like you told us, happy anytime you're on the podium.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Being up on the podium is just good, so you can't complain.
Great job. Congratulations. One more time, put your hands together for Craig DeLong.
Well, Craig picks up the extra $100 there from Hot Cams. By the way, Charlie Mullins getting the $250, I believe it was Whitesco Hole Shot Award there just a little bit ago. And, man, what an amazing day. I look back over the course of that 3 hours of racing, and I still just keep shaking my head and scratching it in amazement. But again, we always have these wonderful stories that come out of Steele Creek, and man, they're going to be a lot. And they all begin as far back as Friday for the masses as they made their way into the Steele Creek campground. And making their way up onto the podium here for the American Cargo's Top Amateur Award. They'll be picking up an extra $125. It looks to me like it ended up being in 20th place overall. The number 309 out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, your 250A bike winner here today, Alex Teagarden.
All right, North Carolina, let's give it up. Alex Teagarden, top amateur overall today. Alex, you didn't have it all day long. I'm going to be honest with you. You weren't even leading your class going into the last lap. You were second place in your class. You were third place in the amateur overall. You must have put in one heck of a last lap to make that all happen. Why don't you tell us a little bit what went out there for you today?
Yeah, just like in Florida, I don't know. I can't ride the first 2 laps of a race, apparently. I really need to work on that. But after I figured out what I was doing, I started putting down strong laps, and I knew my training would pay off. So I actually didn't know that I had one more guy to get, so I kind of relaxed a good bit on the 5th lap, and I think that saved a little bit of energy for me to go ahead and drop the hammer on the last lap. So it was great.
So on the last lap, Zach Nolan was leading the 258 class. How were you able to run him down, and how far from the finish were you able to catch him and pass him?
Yeah, I scanned in like 14 seconds behind him. And just tried to stay smooth as long as I could. I was hoping he was fading because I knew I was going to get a little tired, but I ended up catching him not too far into the lap. I kind of stayed behind him for a little bit to see what the pace was like, to see how early I should go ahead and pass him. I got by him. He actually got by me again, and we ran into lap traffic on the last lap. It was treacherous. But I made it stick, and then dropped the hammer on the last 3 laps and last 3 miles, and made sure I had a nice little gap coming in the finish.
Well, this being your 2nd top amateur award in 3 races, you're obviously making a statement of this. I'm sure you're trying to go for that coveted top amateur of the year award. That being said, with all the effort that goes into it, I'm sure you can't do it by yourself. I'm sure there's a lot of people you want to thank for getting you up here today and making this your 2nd top amateur of the year. Yeah, absolutely. I got to thank my dad first and foremost. He puts a lot in for me. Waynesburg Yamaha, FMF, Stuck MX, Sunstar, all the guys from Coastal Racing, they're always out there cheering me on, and Tyler always helps me out before the races with mechanicals, and always makes me feel calm about whatever problem I have going on. So thanks to those guys, and Steve Hatch Racing, anybody else I forgot, man, thank you. All right, there it is, folks. Alex Teagarden, today's top amateur. He gets $125 from American Cargo, a little bit of traveling money to the next race, and congratulations to Alex, and back to you, Rodney.
All righty, thanks a lot, Johnny Gallagher. And look at that, the champagne spraying once again. Sweet, sweet victory, buddy. Right over top of the head.
Rodney, that's how you celebrate right there. You put whatever's left, take a sip, pour it over your head. This guy knows how to get down.
That's it. Hey, I want to say thanks to Jason Wygant, our special guest host today, along with Megawatt Matt Watson and Johnny Gallagher, as well as the many folks that helped make it all possible. Our camera operators, Mitch Rosenberry, Derek Garcia, Jamie Snyder, Josh Selesky. I want to say thanks to you. Dan Reinhardt, our technical director, man, doing a great job. And, of course, our producer and director, Mr. Price Harden. Thank you again for another excellent job. And I want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in. We will be back live again here in 2 weeks as we head to the Big Buck GNCC. On behalf of everyone here at RacerTV.com and the AMSOIL GNCC Series by Maxxis, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day.